Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I will show you how to flush automatic transmission fluid without using pump or any expensive tool. So we're gonna need oil drain pan, 8 liter of ATF4. That might be different for your vehicle, so check your owner's menu to know the type and how many liters you will need. A transparent gallon, I already marked the liters for measuring, a hose like this, shop towel, and gloves. So the idea is we're gonna drain the fluid from drain plug and then add the same amount of fluid. Next, we're gonna drain the oil from oil cooler hose by turning on the engine. It will suction the new fluid from oil pan and push out the old fluid from the oil cooler hose. We will do that procedure twice, till our draining and adding will be 8 liters. By that time, you should be able to see new fluid coming out. Here's our draining and adding plan. At the end, total adding and draining should be 8 liters. I'm gonna jack up the car and put it on a jack stand. It will make the job much easier and also showing you guys better view angles. Even if you don't have a jack or a jack stand, you will still be able to do that. Take the dipstick out, wipe it clean. Let's drain the oil from drain bolt. We're gonna let it drain completely and then measure how much came out so we can add the same amount of new fluid. While the old fluid draining, I can clean the drain bolt. I always like to clean the drain bolt and around the bolt so I can know if I see any new oil leak. Okay, drain bolt back on, wipe it clean, tighten back the bolt. Now we have to measure drained oil to see how much came out, so we can add same amount of new fluid, in my case 3.5 liters. And now we will add 3.5 liters of new fluid. You can use a clean gallon for measuring just like we used it for the old fluid. Here I'm measuring by weight, it's much faster. After adding new fluid, we have to remove the outlet hose of the oil cooler and connect it with a piece of hose as showed you before and slide it down, so you can put it in our measuring gallon. Alright, now we are ready for flushing procedure. Let's start the engine and let it run till we drain 2.5 liters. We just drained 2.5 liters, so we will add 2.5 liters. Next, we will drain and add 2 liters. It will be 8 liters in total. It was the last flush for 2 liters. Next, we will put the oil cooler hose back. Now we will start the engine and let it reach idling temperature to check the oil level. And here is how it was before flushing and here is now. What a big difference. Completely new fluid, no mixing with old fluid. After reaching idling temperature, it should be at hot level. You can add if it was low. So this is how I flush transmission fluid without using pump or any expensive tool. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I will show you 3 ways to turn off check engine light. The first method is by OBD scanner tool. After reading the code and fixing the problem, you can erase the code and check engine light will turn off. The second method, disconnecting negative battery terminals and connecting it back again. It will reset the ECU electronic control unit. The downside of this method, the dash clock will be reset and on some cars, the radio channels will be erased as well. And the last method, so much easier and it will take you few seconds without needing any tools. And the radio channels and the dash cam will remain as it is. Remove the fuse box cover and look for ECU electronic control unit or on some cars ECM electronic control module. Remove the fuse and put it back again. It will reset the ECU and turns off check engine light. Do that after fixing a problem like if you had a bad fuel injector or oxidized connection. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I will show you why your engine lost power if you have a cable controlled throttle body. Modern cars nowadays equipped with electronic throttle body, which means there is no cable controlled like that, so this video only for cable controlled throttle bodies. If the cable loose like that, it won't be able to open the throttle plate fully open. You will need someone to assist you. When the gas pedal pressed all the way down, check the throttle by hand. We can see that there is still some left that the cable needs to pull. So we need to adjust the cable so it pulls more. All we need to do, take this off, pull the cable. It's better now. Let's put it back. Let's check it again. It opens all the way. There is no gap left. And here is the before and after of the throttle body. If you have this particular problem, your engine will gain power after doing that. Some cars cable controlled like that. You just have to loosen the nuts, move them forward to get rid of the loosened cable. Another problem with cable controlled throttle body, when the pedal gets heavy under your foot, because the cable exposed all the time, it pulls dirt inside. Over time, it will be heavy under your foot. We just need to clean it and lightly lubricate it. WD-40 is the best option in this case. You can spray it like that, like I showed you before, or you can remove the cable and raise the cable, then use WD-40. This will clean the entire cable. Shout out to my dad for teaching me all these things about cable control. He's been fixing cable control for over 30 years. Now we can wipe it and put it back and adjust it just like I showed you before. Cable controlled, one of the reasons for engine to lose power. There are so many left which I will cover in the upcoming videos. After doing this, you should be able to feel the engine gain power and the gas pedal feels softer. For upcoming video, I will be covering some of the major reasons why engine lost power and how to bring it back. Of course, without any expensive tool, which my channel all about making everything simple. So that's it for this video. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be fixing power steering leak and flushing the entire system on this 2011 Toyota Camry. The process I will be showing you here will be the same for most cars. We're gonna jack up the car and put it on a jack stand. It will make the job much easier when we steer the wheel lock to lock with the engine off. Before doing anything, I like to clean my working area so I can find out where was the leak, and if it leaks again, it will be easy to find out. Alright, everything nice and clean now, so we're gonna need same size hose that's leaking now, another piece of hose which I will show you why we need for flushing, funnel, carb cleaner, scissors, pliers, 2 liter of ATF3, and a bottle like this so I can use it as a turkey baster to take the old fluid out of the reservoir. Let's use the bottle as a turkey baster and take out the fluid as much as possible. The more we take out, less mess will be when we remove the hoses. Alright, most of the fluid out, let's put a shop towel under the hoses so we can remove the hoses. We're gonna be cleaning the reservoir and also replacing leaking hose. With using a flat screwdriver and push the tab and the reservoir slides up just like this. This is the return line we're leaking. We're gonna remove it so we can replace it with the one we have. The smaller diameter hose is the return line of the reservoir, and the bigger diameter hose is the suction line of the reservoir. Every time you want to flush power steering, make sure to clean the reservoir filter before putting new oil and doing flushing procedure. Take your time and use carb cleaner or a choke cleaner to clean the filter and let it dry. Alright, while the reservoir is drying, we're gonna put the clamps on the new hose. The reason old hose were leaking, over time these hoses gets brittle, so the clamp won't be able to squeeze the hose, so it leaks out from the ends. The new hose on. Next, we're gonna use the other hose I showed you before and insert it on the return port of the reservoir and raise it up so it won't spill oil while we are doing flushing procedure. Next, we're gonna put the reservoir back and insert the suction line and keep this hose raised up. Now we are ready for flushing procedure. Here's the return line free. The old fluid will come out from here. We're gonna need a bottle or any container to collect the old fluid. The reason I'm using Coca-Cola bottle because it's transparent and I will be able to see when the new fluid comes out. We're gonna fill the reservoir with new fluid and keep this hose raised up and steer the wheel lock to lock with the engine off. It will suction the new fluid from the reservoir and push the old fluid out to the return line, which is the one in the bottle right now. Okay, we're gonna fill the reservoir with a new fluid. If you don't know what type of fluid you need, check the cap or the manual to know what type of fluid to use. Alright, with the engine off, we're gonna steer the wheel lock to lock till we see the new fluid comes out from the return line. Of course, we'll keep filling the reservoir with the new fluid and don't let it suck air. And here's why I put the car on a jack stand. With the engine off, it will be hard to steer the wheel lock to lock. This will make the job much easier. So I kept filling the reservoir with the new fluid and steering the wheel lock to lock till I saw new fluid comes out. It took about a barrel and a half, about 1.5 liters. Just for experimental reason, you don't have to do this step. I'm just gonna take the bottle out and put this clear cap so I can see how the clean fluid is, so I can compare it with the old one. Here's the return line fluid. If you compare it, it should be the same with the one in the bottle. They are slightly different due to air bubbles, but that's how complete flush should be. And this is the old fluid. What a big difference. Next, we're gonna put the return line back again. Make sure to put a rack under the hose and do it fast. Alright, now we're gonna steer the wheel lock to lock to release all the trapped air before starting the engine. You may need to add fluid after releasing all the air bubbles out. Now close the cap and we're gonna start the engine. We're gonna fill the reservoir one last time to the right level, which is the hot line when the engine at idling temperature. After steering the wheel lock to lock with the engine on, the fluid should be at the same level. Hope the video gave you some information how to replace leaking hose and flushing power steering fluid. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. Did you ever want to replace any part of your car? And before doing that, knowing exactly what to do, what tools you will need, and what are the torque spec when you're putting everything back again? Head over the link in the video description box below, choose car model, and download a full step-by-step guide. Or you can search the car model you need. So in today's video, we're gonna be replacing this broken upper mount on this Toyota Camry. We have a new mount here. Whenever you get an aftermarket mount, check the rubber, it should be a bit soft to absorb the vibration. According to the manual, the bolts are 40mm, and don't worry, we can remove the mount without engine moves. The lower mounts will support the engine. Just use a flat screwdriver and push it out if it was stuck. Broken mount like that will cause fueling engine vibrating inside the car, and if not replaced soon, it will break or damage other lower mounts. Alright, let's put the new mount back, center the holes, and hand tight the bolts. We're gonna torque the bolts to 47 pound-feet of torque. How easy that was when you know exactly what you need and how to do it. Next item to replace, sway bar bushing on this 2010 Mitsubishi Outlander. It will be the same for most cars. We're gonna jack up the car and put it on a jack stand. When replacing sway bar bushing, both wheels should be up in the air. It will be much easier to take the old bushings out and putting the new bushings in. After undoing two bolts, remove the plate, but you can remove the sway bar bushing. So we're gonna remove the sway bar link and then sway bar gets free. Now we can raise up the sway bar and take out the old bushing. I always like to take some extra time to clean the area before installing the new bushings. Make sure to get the same size sway bar bushing. The old one was 22 and here I got 22. Otherwise it will be hard to put it on a sway bar, or if it was bigger, you will still be able to hear suspension sound. After putting back new sway bar bushing, now we can put the sway bar link back again and torque the nut and bolts. When you know what you have to do and what tools you will need, replacing your car's part will be so easy and save some cash as well. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. Have you ever wondered what is that number on the engine, or on some cars it will be on the trunk? Well, in today's video, we're gonna be explaining and also show you how to calculate that number for your car's engine. This refers to engine's capacity. If a 4-cylinder engine is described as 2-liter engine, this means each piston can compress roughly 500 cc cubic centimeter of fuel and air into the combustion chamber every revolution the engine turns. In another word, This is the total volume capacity of the cylinders. For calculating engine capacity, we need stroke, which is the distance of the piston traveling up and down, the burr, which is the diameter of the cylinder, and then multiplying to 4 cylinders, or the number your car has. So the formula for volume of cylinder equals pi radius square height. Radius equals to burr divided by 2, which it will be 0.4495. So the pi is 3.14 times 0.4495 squared, which is the stroke, 0.98 times number of cylinders, which is 4. So the volume for 2017 Toyota Camry's engine will be 2.489 liters, which is roughly 2.5 liter or 2500 cc cubic centimeter. So next time you see that number on the trunk or on top of engine cover, you know what does that mean and how to calculate that number. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I will show you how to replace one of the engine mounts that holds the engine in the engine bay without falling off the engine. I did a video about how to replace upper engine mount, but with the upper engine mount, you don't have any risk of engine falling off. So in today's video, I will show you an easy trick how to replace mount like that at home without spending too much. How we know that engine mount damaged? Well, the engine slightly lower to the right side, but make sure to do that on a flat surface. And second, you will be able to feel engine vibrating too much. Here's the vibrator tester. We're gonna compare it after replacing engine mount to see how much difference we make. So the engine must be raised up that much. Driver side engine mount responsible to hold the engine and transmission weight, so it's very common to be replaced before the other side. In order to remove that mount, we need to remove fuse box and the battery to get access to the engine mount. That might be different for your car. Maybe you will have filter box that need to be removed before getting access to the engine mount. So we're gonna need 19 and 50mm socket. I'm just gonna loosen the bolts up. Next, we're gonna go under the car and lift the right side of the engine by half an inch. I know most of you don't have a jack like that, so I'm not gonna use that. I will use my car's jack. Now the right side of the engine's weight on the jack, not on the engine mount. We can remove the bolt without having the engine falling off. So always support the engine with the jack before replacing engine mount, especially right on the left side of the engine. Okay, engine mount free, we can take it out now. The old one has too much play, but the new one not that much. The old one has too much gap than the new one. That's why the engine was slightly lower to the right side. Always clean the area before putting everything back. New engine mount on, hand tie the bolts before using any tool to prevent from cross-threading. And then I'm gonna torque 19 and 50mm bolts by 50 and 29 pound-feet of torque. We are almost done with the engine mount. Let's remove the jack, we don't need it anymore. Next, I'm gonna put everything back and see how much difference new mount makes. Finally, we are done. Let's do our tests. Leveling, it appears to just like the floor. That's good. And the vibration test? We have less vibration now. And here's the before and after tests. Now you can differentiate good and bad engine mount and how to replace it at home without using expensive tool. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. Today's video gonna be a bit different than my other videos. We are going to design and 3D print paddle shifters for my 2017 Toyota Camry, and it will be mounted on the actual paddle shifters, and at the end it should be something like that. I'm gonna take some measurements and import it to SketchUp so I can design the model. The reason I wanted to show you this, nowadays you can design and 3D print any custom part at home if you have access to a 3D printer. This is Cheeto Box Slicer software. Basically, you will tell the printer how to print the model and where to put the supports to hold the model while printing. I'm using resin 3D printer. In terms of quality, they are very good, but you have to work with gloves and well ventilated area and never touch the resin. Here I'm using red transparent resin. The print took about 7.5 hours for each paddle shifter. Alright, after 7.5 hours the print is done and it came out nice. With resin printed models, we still can't touch the model until we wash it with isopropyl alcohol and let it cure under a UV light. Sun is the best source for that. Well, that's what my second channel is all about. I do designing and 3D printing RC car bodies. Even these fully functional tracks are 3D printed. All these car bodies you see here are 3D printed. If you are interested, I will put my second channel in the video description box below if you wanna check it out. After removing supports, we're gonna clean the model with isopropyl alcohol and let it cure under the sun. And after it cures, you will feel it become a solid part. After curing for a few hours under the sun, I wanted to fill the plus and minus with a different color resin, and then file it till it becomes flush with the surface. Even it's a transparent resin, but it looks faded after washing with isopropyl alcohol, so I'm gonna mix some clear coat and apply it on. Not only bring the shine back, but it will also protect it as well. Alright, it's the next day and the clear coat is dry. Already cut the double side tape in this shape, so we're gonna apply it on. It's all done, let's stick it on the paddle shifter. How cool does that look when you can design a custom part for your car? Hope you enjoyed the project and learned something about custom 3D printing for your car. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be using seafoam to clean piston carbon buildup on this 2017 Toyota Camry. There are two types of seafoam. The first one comes as a compressed spray can form, and the second one just a liquid in a can form. So I will show you how to use both of these in a minute. I will also going to using C100 kit with the liquid seafoam, and don't worry if you don't have this kit, I will show you how to use seafoam even without this kit. We are going to start with removing engine cover. Unplug all ignition wire harnesses so we can remove ignition coil and then the spark plugs. It's been a long time I haven't cleaned carbon buildup on this engine. I'm pretty sure so much carbon buildup forming on the pistons right now. If you're asking how do I know I have a carbon buildup on this engine right now, well, you will feel power loss and low mileage. When there is carbon buildup on the pistons, it means there is also carbon buildup on the intake and exhaust valves. And when you have carbon buildup on the valves, the engine will lose its compression due to escaping pressure from not fully closed valves. The spark plugs are clean, it means the fuel injectors are clean too. We have a complete fuel burning. Next item I'm gonna use endoscope camera to enter each cylinder to see how much carbon buildup we have. Alright, entering cylinder number 1, we have a good amount of carbon on the piston edge. The problem is when you have carbon buildup on the piston edge, over time it will scratch the cylinder wall and cause the engine smoke and burn oil. Cylinder number 2, same, most of the carbon only on the edges, and so as the other pistons are the same. I always like to put the ignition coils and the spark plugs like that so I can know if there's any problem with any cylinder. After we saw how much carbon buildup we have, we're gonna put everything back and do our seafoam cleaning test. It is not necessary to remove ignition coil and the spark plugs unless you are doing a test like me or curious to see before and after results. When you are putting back the ignition coils, make sure to check them for a crack or if they are oiled. I also made a detailed video how to check ignition coils and the spark plug. You can check them out later. All back together, I'm gonna start using this one with the C100 kit. All we need to do, screw this adapter on the other end. It's clear, we will be able to see when it's flowing and when it's finished. I know most of you don't have this kit, don't worry, I will show you the process without using this kit as well in a second. I recommend entering seafoam or any other cleaner away from throttle body and the mass airflow sensor. So I choose this vacuum line which enters directly into intake manifold. Alright, we are all set. Let's fill C100 kit canister with the seafoam. We also gonna need to connect our shop air, already regulated on 40 psi. We're gonna start the engine and let it reach idling temperature. Once we are at the idling temperature, ask someone to hold the RPM on 2000 and open the valve. It will start smoking and that is normal. After using half of the can of seafoam with C100, I'm gonna show you how to use it without this kit. We're gonna need a straw like this. It came with a spraying seafoam. Put the straw in the hose and put it back. Engine's vacuum will suction seafoam from the can as the engine running. And the spraying seafoam is the same. You just have to keep your finger on the trigger while the engine running on 2000 RPM. We are almost done with cleaning. Let's pull the straw out and put the clamp back on. After using seafoam, aggressive driving is necessary, so let's go. Alright, we are back. We're gonna let the engine cool down and then use endoscope camera. Okay, moment of truth. Entering cylinder number 1. Looks like it's cleaning the edge of the piston, but not the whole piston face. Maybe the carbon buildup was too hard for cleaning. I will do another cycle for cleaning even more later. It's been few times I'm cleaning carbon buildup on this engine and keeps coming back. So I'm working on installing oil catch can to minimize that problem, which is very common in direct injected engines. Video will be soon, stay tuned for that. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna clean clogged fuel injectors, whether if it has bad spraying pattern or fuel injectors that leaks fuel constantly. These fuel injectors for two different cars. These are for 2010 Mitsubishi Outlander and these for 2009 GMC Acadia. I had to replace all 6 fuel injectors because the dealer told me that it won't get cleaned and replacing is the only option, and cost me close to $1,000 back in 2014 when I had that car. I have a video where I showed how to clean fuel injectors in detail at home without using any expensive tool. I will put the video in the description box below so you can check it out. But for these fuel injectors it didn't work. No matter how many times I run carb cleaner through the injectors, it remained the same. I also tried the same method for the GMC Acadia fuel injectors, but it didn't work. It kept leaking fuel and letting fuel to come out. It's supposed to stop the fuel when there is no power. So I got an idea to clean them with a different technique with using ultrasonic cleaner and the injector tester. It will keep pulsing injectors so I don't have to use the push switch for a few minutes constantly. These two wires will be connected to the fuel injector, and these are the 12-volt power input. There are 4 different pulse modes. I will put at mode 4, which is the continuous pulse. Alright, let's put it in ultrasonic cleaner. For cleaning agent I will use seafoam. Unfortunately I didn't have that much to cover the whole injector, so I had to use intake cleaner from liquid moly as well. People use ultrasonic cleaner for cleaning jewelry with distilled water and cleaning powder, but I'm not gonna use water for that. I will do some more tests and make a video which cleaner works the best. Alright, we are ready for cleaning. First turning on the fuel injector and then the ultrasonic cleaner. This ultrasonic cleaner turns off after 3 minutes, but I want longer than 3 minutes, so I will do 2 more rounds. It will be cleaned for 9 minutes. It is obvious after few minutes you will be able to see the cleaner changed color. Let me know in the comment section below what else you'd like me to clean with ultrasonic cleaner and show you before and after videos. It turned off after 3 minutes again. Let's turn off the injector as well. The good thing about ultrasonic cleaner, not only it will clean the outside, but inside as well. These ultrasonic waves will loosen up any stuck particles and push them out. The result like a day and night. We haven't even used brush or anything and remove it that much. Next I'm gonna put the other injector and clean it as well, so we can do spraying test after that. Just like the other injector, I will let it clean for 9 minutes. And here is after cleaning only 2 injectors. We can clearly see that there is some heavy particles at the bottom and the cleaner changed color. And here is cleaned and uncleaned fuel injector side by side. And the moment of truth, let's see if the injector is still leaking fuel or not, so you don't have to spend thousands of dollars just like I did before. This was leaking fuel injector and now working perfectly fine without leaking any drop of fuel. And this one had a bad spraying pattern and now looks like a new. Hope the video was helpful. If you have a similar problem and you wanna give that a try, you will only need a fuel injector tester and ultrasonic cleaner. So that's for this video. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna remove PCV valve on this 2017 Toyota Camry. PCV valve usually located on the engine cover, but on this 2017 Toyota Camry, located there. So we're gonna have to remove the front wheel. Loosen the lug nuts first, and then jack up the car. I'm gonna put it on a jack stand, it will make the job much easier. It took me an hour and a half removing PCV valve plus moving camera angle. Having jack stand for this job really useful because you can't take the valve out without removing the wheel first. After removing the lug nuts and the wheel, always put the wheel under the car for extra safety. Next, we're gonna remove this plastic piece. It's bolted on with two 10mm bolts. I'm just gonna tuck it under the wheel well for now. So, the PCV valve located behind here exactly. I'm gonna start with removing crankshaft sensor wire harness and the bracket so we don't damage it accidentally. Alright, let's see where is the PCV valve located exactly. So, the first thing we're gonna do, remove the hose. You just have to pull the hose and it comes out just like this. The valve is 19mm, so we're gonna need long 19mm socket and medium size ratchet. You don't have that much space to work, but the ratchet makes the job much easier. And here's the valve out. There are so many people that are recommending to replace PCV valve than cleaning it. If you take a look at this PCV valve and cut it in half, there is a steel ball and a spring inside it. There are no complicated moving parts, so nothing happened to them unless the spring gets rusted and broke, which is a very rare situation. For cleaning, I usually use carb cleaner and spray it like that. Some of you recommended to use ultrasonic cleaner in my last video for cleaning PCV valve. So I'm gonna fill the ultrasonic cleaner with seafoam and put the valve in it. I will let it clean for 5 minutes. 2017 Toyota Camry's PCV valve is metal, not plastic, so it will last much longer than the plastic. Maybe that's why they put it there, not on the engine cover. Okay, after 5 minutes, we're gonna shake it a bit. Looks like the ultrasonic cleaner breaks some oil. I didn't expect it to be that much dirty because I have cleaned it before. I like to dry it before putting on the engine. For those of you who don't have ultrasonic cleaner, cleaning with carb cleaner is enough, just like that. Alright, the valve is clean and dry. We're gonna put it on the engine. Just make sure to hand tighten it before using ratchet to avoid cross threading. Now I'm gonna use the 19mm long socket to tighten it up. Putting back the hose by hand will be so difficult, so having something like this will be handy. I can lock the hose and put it back. We just completed the hard part and it wasn't that difficult. Next, we're gonna put the sensor wire harness back. In these other steps, we're just putting back just like we removed them. After lowering the car, I'm gonna torque the lug nuts to 76 pound-feet of torque. Hope I showed you good technique how to remove and clean PCV valve on 2017 Toyota Camry. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna test and review ISO Heat. The product is not sponsored, I bought it with my own money. So it mentions that it cleans fuel injectors and removes water from fuel tank. We're gonna be doing two tests. The first one will be water removing, and the second one, if it can clean piston carbon buildup, I'm sure it will clean fuel injectors as well. Heat contains methanol and it's water soluble. Let's see how it will remove the water. I'm gonna fill this cup with gasoline. Polystyrene cups is not chemical resistant, that's why it fogs a bit. I will put few drops of water relative to the amount of gasoline like we usually see in the fuel tank. Water won't get mixed with gasoline, even if you stir them. It will rest at the bottom due to having higher density than gasoline. Let's put some ISO Heat and see if it's removed a drop of water. When it comes to removing water, it doesn't actually remove water, it's actually mixing with the water and helps burn like a gasoline. The drop of water disappeared and it actually removes water. It will help to prevent fuel line freezing if you are living in extreme cold weather. Alright, second test, we're gonna be doing carbon buildup removing test. But first, let's remove the ignition coil and spark plugs to see how much carbon buildup we have on the pistons before using ISO Heat. All the spark plugs and ignition coils removed. I like to put them just like cylinder orientation so I can see if any cylinder got any problem. Next, let's use endoscope camera to enter each cylinder to see how much carbon buildup we have before using ISO Heat. Alright, entering cylinder number 1, we have some carbon buildup on the piston. It was much more than that before, but on my previous video I used seafoam and it cleaned some of it. We can see some cleaned areas from previous video, but still we have carbon buildup. Okay, I'm gonna put everything back. Now we know how much carbon buildup we have and we will compare it after using ISO Heat. It's gonna be a great challenge. All this carbon buildup you have now, seafoam couldn't remove it, even though I used the whole can directly. The video will be in the video description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. ISO heat can treat up to 20 gallons. Here I have about 10 maybe. We're gonna pour it into the fuel tank and drive the car till the next refilling. If you guys have any good fuel cleaner or additive in mind that you think is good and worth trying, let me know. Alright, let's check if ISO heat good for cleaning carbon buildup. There's a big difference in the valve area, but still some left at the right side. Cylinder number 2, we can see all these carbons are gone, and also the valve areas as well. Cylinder number 3, all these carbons cleaned and still some left here. Cylinder number 4, there's a big difference in the center of the piston, totally cleaned and starts showing piston edge here. So what do you guys think? Am I gonna buy it again? Yes, I will. We saw some good changes on the piston head and also with absorbing water. Let me know which cleaner you want me to test in my future videos. Hope the video was helpful before spending money on ISO heat water removal. As always, thanks for tuning in, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I will show you how to clean oxygen sensor and what's not to do when cleaning oxygen sensor. Keep in mind, oxygen sensor won't get dirty unless you have some serious problem, whether if you have a bad fuel injector, faulty spark plug, or faulty or cracked ignition coil. Oxygen sensor's main job to sense the engine running rich or lean, which means more fuel less air, or less fuel and more air. So anything related to fuel or ignition, oxygen sensor will read the data and send it to ECM, engine control unit. For removing oxygen sensor, I always like to use WD-40 and let it penetrate for a while and then loosen it up. There is also a special socket for oxygen sensor as well to prevent you from damaging the wire. For cleaning, I have seen so many people using wire brush to clean oxygen sensor. By doing that, you are actually only cleaning the cover. The sensor will be inside the cover. So we need some kind of liquid cleaner to get inside these holes and get in contact with the actual sensor. So carb cleaner is a good cleaner for oxygen sensor cleaning. In my previous video, some of you asked me how ultrasonic cleaner will clean oxygen sensor. So I'm gonna fill my ultrasonic cleaner with gasoline and see how it's gonna clean the oxygen sensor even after cleaning with carb cleaner. Some of you recommend me to keep the object from touching the bottom of ultrasonic cleaner. So I'm gonna hold it like this and let it clean for 5 minutes. Alright, it's been after 5 minutes and there is no major change. But if you look at the bottom of ultrasonic cleaner, we can see some small particles being removed even after cleaning with brush and carb cleaner. And here is the before and after cleaning pictures. Which cleaning process you think is better? When it comes to using anti-seize on oxygen sensor, regular anti-seize will melt and run into the sensor, whether if it's applied too much or it's not sensor safe anti-seize. So it's recommended to use anti-seize that labeled sensor safe on oxygen sensor. Hope I covered some of the scenarios and cleaning method. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I'm gonna be installing oil catch can on my 2017 Toyota Camry. And we're gonna put it under test for 1 month. So I have cleaned carbon buildup so many times on my channel with many different ways, but it keep coming back. Let's see if with installing oil catch can it will minimize that oil vapor that coming from PCV valve. So I found this oil catch can on AliExpress for 80 bucks by the time I'm making this video. If you look at the inside of the oil catch can, here you got the inlet and here you got the outlet with the filter. Make sure to get one with the filter. There are so many oil catch can on the market without filter. You can choose what color you like to match your car. So we're gonna need 2 hoses like this with 10mm inner diameter and 2 10mm bushing, so we can connect them between the PCV hose. So I had an idea to make a bracket and mount it here. I went to SketchUp to make some brackets so I can mount it somewhere close to PCV hose without extending hose that much, and also easy for removing and cleaning whenever I want. Making bracket like this won't be easy if you don't have tools. So I came with this idea to make a simple bracket and mount it on the oil catch can bracket so it gives me extra distance. I had to paint it matte black to match the other bracket. Alright, let's attach these two together. Here I'm using 2 M3 by 10mm bolts. And then I'm gonna put everything back. Let's put these 2 bushings on the hoses. Next, let's remove these. They don't have O-rings, so I'm gonna have to use some Teflon to prevent from leaking air. PCV line is a vacuum hose, so it doesn't have to suck air into the system. Use 70mm to tighten them up. And don't forget to tighten the drain plug underneath. It came loose from the factory. To give you an idea how long are the hoses, the inlet hose will be 11 inches, which goes to inlet of the oil catch can. The outlet hose will be 10 inches, which goes on filter port. Alright, our oil catch can is ready. Let's install it on the car. First of all, let's remove this bracket so you have some room to work. You just have to remove the 10mm bolt and move it out of the way without removing the small hoses or the wire harness. Here's the hose that came from PCV valve. We're gonna remove the hose clamp and use cutter and cut it here, so we can connect the oil catch can between them. Let's remove this piece on the engine. This is the outlet of the oil catch can through the filter, so this piece goes here. To give you an idea where did I cut the hose, I cut it after 2.5 inches. I also had to use zip ties even though it was tight fit. So this one goes on the engine, and this one goes on the other hose that came from PCV valve. For this one I used hose clamp instead of zip tie because I didn't have that much room to work, and the other hose goes on the intake manifold of the engine. Alright, we are done with the hoses. Let's put the bracket back and tighten the bolt. And also put the brake vacuum line back. I also used thread lockers to prevent these from getting loose. Now we need to loosen these two 10mm bolts and slide the bracket in, and then tighten it back. And the final thing, let's put the cup back. Make sure it's hand tight. This is gonna be under a test for 1 month to see if it collects any oil vapor. Alright, let's check the cup. I don't see oil accumulating, but let's wipe the cup with clean paper towel. It's not that much oil, but if we constantly sending that much oil into the combustion chamber, we will have carbon buildup on the piston and intake valves. I highly recommend to install oil catch can to prevent from building carbon in your engine, so you don't have to clean it once a year. I could also mount the oil catch can somewhere here, but I had to extend the hoses even more. The oil catch can link will be in the video description box below if you want to purchase the same. Alright, that's it for this video. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to make wire tester for cleaning fuel injectors. Since I'm getting so many questions about how I made one and what we need for making one, so I'm gonna show you the hardware that we will need to make a wire tester and the hose adapter for cleaning fuel injectors. We're gonna start with the hose adapter. We need a hose with 30mm outer diameter and 8mm inner diameter, and we're gonna cut it about that much. So for making wire tester, we're gonna need a push switch like that, some shrink tubes, an alligator wire. We're gonna solder the push switch on a power line just like that. Next we need a straw to fit on a carb cleaner can. They always come with a spray can. And we're gonna glue the straw just like that. The glue I'm using is a CA glue. It comes with a glue and activator. It worked for me so far, that's why I'm always using it. A hose clamp will be helpful for the other side of the hose for holding the fuel injector while we pressurize it with a carb cleaner, so you don't have to worry about popping out while cleaning it. Few sprays of the activator inside the hose and on the straw will help the glue to cure and not letting it run into the hose while we hold the straw in the center. And then we're gonna fill the rest with the glue, and that is it. And here's the hose adapter. Always remove the O-ring and the filter strainer of the fuel injector that you wanna clean before inserting on the hose adapter. The reason I always use hose adapter, first, I can use it for cleaning different size fuel injectors, and second, we can use it for cleaning backwards too. Sometimes we have to clean it backward when there is small particles stuck inside. I've seen so many people using syringe like that, but you have to trim the O-ring a little bit so it fits inside. And if you trim the O-ring too much, it will leak cleaner. And you need to hold it with your hand, otherwise it will push it out. But with the hose adapter, you won't have that problem, and no need for extra O-ring for trimming. Next, we're gonna be working on the wire tester. Let's cut the red wire about that much and clean the ends. Put the shrink tubes on and solder the wires. The reason I use push switch, because we're gonna be holding the fuel injector with one hand and the push switch and the carb cleaner with the other hand. We only need to open the fuel injector when we push the switch and off when we release the push switch, and make it work like it's on the engine. And the last step I like to do, put a zip tie with the ground wire so it doesn't tangle up when we're working on the fuel injector. For powering up the fuel injectors, we're gonna need a 9-volt battery. You just have to connect one end of the alligator wire on the battery and the other end of the fuel injector. You should hear the clicking sound when you're pushing the switch. That's not the switch sound, it's the solenoid sound inside the fuel injector. If it doesn't make sound, it means the fuel injector is dead and you're gonna have to buy new ones. For cleaning, you have to put the hose adapter on the fuel injector and tighten the hose clamp. And then insert the straw on a carb cleaner or a choke cleaner. And then power up the fuel injectors. With the palm of your hand, push the cleaner and push the switch with the thumb, just like I do here. I have some detailed videos how I clean fuel injectors and using many techniques. I will put the videos in video description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. Hope I covered everything for making hose adapter and the wire tester for cleaning fuel injectors. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. So today in the morning I started my car and have check engine light on and the halt warning light flashing. Since some of my subscribers got similar car, I thought why not show it here. It might help some of you to save some cash. Whenever you see a check engine light on, it means we have a code and we have to read it with OBD scanner. So the OBD scanner located under the steering wheel. We're gonna connect it to our phone with OBD scanner app. The app I'm using called Torque. It's very simple to use. We're gonna go to gear icon, fault codes, and then show logged faults. And the code is PO335 and it's camshaft position sensor. So the camshaft sensor located here. We have to remove the spark plug cover, camshaft belt cover, and the filter box. So we're gonna need a ratchet and 10mm socket. Let's undo these 4 10mm bolts. Alright, the cover is off and here's the sensor. We can only remove the wire harness from here, but the sensor bolted underneath with 2 10mm bolts. Next, we need to undo this 12mm bolt on this side and this 10mm bolt on this side. Use a flat screwdriver to loosen the throttle body hose and then remove the hose. We're just gonna put the filter box here for now. There are 3 10mm bolts holding the cover we need to remove first. And here's the last one located under the belt. I had to use long 10mm socket for that. We just need to push it out and pull it up like that. And here is the camshaft sensor bolted with 2 10mm bolts. Let's remove the wire harness first and then the bolts. I had to use a small universal joint for that, otherwise it's hard to reach them. Let's pull the old sensor out. Here is the new sensor I got. I think it was under 10 bucks. Visually compare them. Alright, they are the same. Here's the right direction you need to install like that. Center the holes and then hand tight the bolts. Alright, new camshaft sensor on. Let's put the covers back. These next steps will be exactly the reverse, how we removed the covers and the filter box. This car has almost 100,000 on it and it's my second time replacing this sensor. Let me know if you had that problem too. Alright, we are almost done. Let's put the wire harness back and then the spark plug cover. And the last thing we need to do, erase the code. Put the key on ignition. We're gonna clear the code on the app. Go to the gear icon, fault codes, clear logged faults. Alright, if we scan for a code again, there is no more faulty code. Let's remove the OBD scanner and start the engine. No more check engine light and no more flashing halt. Hope the video was helpful for those of you owning the same car. I will be installing the oil catch can for this car, stay tuned for that. So that's for this video. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing a radiator outlet pipe on this 2008 Chevy Optra. Over time, it will get brittle and cracked, so it's time to replace it with a new one. So outlet radiator pipe located here and the rest will be under the intake manifold. So we need to remove these hoses here, and under the intake manifold there are two 14mm bolts and this hose. These two bolts and this hose clamp under the intake manifold will take some time, but the rest is very easy. I recommend to use hose clamp pliers. It will make the job much easier for removing clamp under the intake manifold, which I will order one and add it to my tools as well. Number 13 is the radiator outlet pipe. Here I got a new one and here is the part number. Alright, before doing anything, make sure the engine cold to touch. sliding my drain pan under the car and remove the reservoir cap. That way you will be sure that the system not under pressure. Starting with removing these two small hoses and the bigger one, which goes to the radiator. While it's draining here, let's go under the intake manifold and remove the hose clamp. Next, let's undo these two 40mm bolts and then take the pipe out. Take your time and carefully pull it out, because you don't want to break it inside the hose. The crack got bigger when I pulled out and broke here. Removing wasn't that hard, just needed some time. Alright, let's put the new one on. I'm gonna start with inserting in the hose first and then align the holes and put the bolts back. Everything done under the intake manifold, let's put the other hoses back. There is one thing to keep in mind, not to misplace these two hoses, because they are the same size. Okay, that was the last hose clamp and we are almost done. Last thing we need to do, refill radiator coolant with the same color. I had to use 4 liters of coolant to fill the radiator reservoir after replacing outer radiator pipe, so keep that in mind if you are doing the same job. Last thing we need to do, start the engine with the reservoir cap open and let all the bubbles out. And refill it when it gets low. Alright, the engine at the idling temperature and the coolant at max line. All the bubbles out, let's put the cap back on. And here is how to replace outer radiator pipe on 2008 Chevy Optra. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. Have you pushed the gas pedal and the engine lags before RPM gets higher? Well, in today's video, we're gonna see what caused that problem. It's not a long time I have cleaned fuel injectors, so it's not fuel injectors causing that problem. And the ignition coils are fine, because we don't have any check engine light on. I'm expecting to be something wrong with the spark plug wires or the spark plugs. So let's go ahead and remove spark plug cover, and then spark plug wires. The first thing we can notice, they are soaked in oil. Oil on spark plug will cause misfire. High voltage will leak to the engine's body because the spark plug wire is not fully isolated. There is a conductive material between spark plug wire and the engine's body, allowing high voltage to get past instead of sending all the high voltage to the spark plugs. Let's remove the spark plugs. I have replaced them a while back, so we're just gonna clean them. Whenever you see oil on spark plug holes, it means the engine cover gasket leaking oil into the spark plug holes. So I had to remove the cover and replace the gasket real quick. All the spark plugs out, we're gonna clean them later. Let's put the shop towel here and clean the spark plug wires. They must be clean and dry, so we don't have misfiring issue. Make sure to clean the outside and the inside with a choke cleaner or a carb cleaner. Next, we're gonna clean the spark plug holes so we don't have that problem again when we put the wires back. Next, we're gonna put some gasoline in my ultrasonic cleaner so we can clean the spark plugs. You can clean them with carb cleaner as well, but it's been requested in my previous video, so I was curious to see how it's gonna clean the spark plugs. This ultrasonic cleaner turns off after 3 minutes. I'm gonna turn it on 2 more times again so we can clean them for 9 minutes. With a powerful ultrasonic cleaner, it's recommended to put the cleaning object in the basket so it doesn't touch with the bottom of ultrasonic cleaner. But in my case, it's 20 watt ultrasonic cleaner and it's not that problem. Alright, it's been after 9 minutes, let's take the spark plugs out. For a cheap 20 watt ultrasonic cleaner, it's very good. We haven't even used brush and cleaned it that much. Next, I like to spray it with carb cleaner. It really helps with getting it dry faster. Alright, spark plugs clean and dry, let's put them back. Try not to drop them in spark plug hole to prevent bending the tip. A curved turn is enough for tightening the spark plug if you don't have a torque wrench. Alright, we are almost done. Let's put the spark plug wires back and then the cover. Alright, moment of truth. Let's turn on the engine and test it out. So, leaking that much oil in spark plug hole causes that problem, and it was an easy fix by cleaning spark plugs and replacing engine cover gasket to prevent from happening again. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks for cleaning fuel injectors. Since I made my first video in 2017, I have done so many tests for cleaning fuel injectors. If you haven't seen my latest video for cleaning fuel injectors, where I explain and show all the steps in detail, I highly suggest to check that video out later. But in this video, I will only show some of my ways to get the best result when cleaning fuel injectors. As you guys can see in my last video, fuel injector is touching the bottom of the cleaner vat, which it will damage the ultrasonic cleaner if it was more powerful. But since it's 42 kHz, it's not a big deal. That's why higher hertz ultrasonic cleaner comes with cleaning basket. But there is another benefit if the injectors are vertical. The waves only hit the tip and break any stuck particles. So I went to SketchUp where I modeled my own custom fuel injector holder and then 3D printed it. Now I can clean fuel injector without touching the cleaner vat. For cleaning agent, last time I used seafoam and injector cleaner, and that's what I'm recommending, and it works great. I designed this holder specifically for indirect fuel injectors. I'm sure I can use it for direct injectors as well. But if you don't have a 3D printer, there is an easy way which I prefer, using piece of mesh like that and placing the fuel injectors on, and pulling the mesh till you see the fuel injectors flowing and not touching the bottom of the vat. When the fuel injectors are submerged in the ultrasonic cleaner, the gunk will flow out from the inlet and the outlet of the injector ports. If we take the fuel injectors out with the fuel rod and connect the wire harnesses again, we can test the fuel injectors with its own fuel pump by cranking the engine. Of course, the engine won't start with the injectors out, but we'll be able to see how the fuel injector is working and how are the spraying pattern. And if you have leaking fuel injector, it will be obvious since it's out of the engine. When cleaning fuel injectors, I recommend replacing filter before cleaning the fuel injectors. Most of the time fuel is clogged and you won't get a good flow. Unless you are reverse cleaning it, then it has to be without filter. I will put the detailed video how I clean fuel injectors and how I made wire tester in the video description box below if you wanna check it out. And don't forget that you need to release all the pressure before removing hose adapter. And after cleaning, you might see small particles of the hose like that in the filter. That's why I recommend replacing the filter again and try to use different hose for the adapter as well if you see small particles of the hose. O-rings are very important to check and replace. If the damaged O-ring in the intake side, the engine will lose its compression and the car will misfire, and you will be able to hear leaking air sound near fuel injectors. But if the damaged O-ring on the fuel rail side, fuel will leak and most of the time cause fire. Oiling O-rings before putting them on the fuel rail will provide a good seal without damaging them when inserting on the fuel rail. And last but not least, can we fix all leaking fuel injectors? Well, I have fixed many so far and even showed in my previous video, but this one, no matter how long I put it on ultrasonic cleaner and cleaning it with carb cleaner and even reverse cleaning it, it is still leaking fuel. Fuel injectors got limited lifetime and this one has more than 100k on it, and now it's time to replace it with a new one. Hope I covered some of your questions, and let me know in the comment section below if I missed something. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be checking and fixing broken spark plug wire. So if you have older model car with spark plug wire, this video for you. Bad or broken spark plug wire will cause the engine shake and misfire, and you can simply check it without using any tool to see which one is the bad wire. Just pull each wire at a time. Any wire doesn't affect the engine, that's the bad one. Cylinder number 4 is the bad one. We can see that it's not affecting the engine when I pull it out. We're gonna turn the engine off for removing spark plug wire so we don't get electrical shock. So be careful not to touch this wire when the engine's running. If you ever pull the wire and it comes out like that. Spark plug wire should be pulled from rubber boot, not the wire itself. We're gonna need pair of needle pliers to take the other end of the spark plug wire. For fixing spark plug wire, we just need to insert this wire here, which I will show you in a minute. For checking spark plug wire and the rubber boot, look for any crack or exposed wire. We can also check the wire for any electrical leak at night. If you see spark like that, you need to replace the wire or fix it in my case. For fixing, all we need to do, open this again and take the remaining piece out. I like to use this technique for putting the rubber boots on the wire without damaging it. Next, clean the wire to expose the core like that, and then put the metal end on the wire and clamp it with a pair of pliers. You can always check the connection by pulling the end and the wire before putting the rubber boots back. Spark plug wire can be checked with ohm meter. Put the ohm meter on 200 ohm and it should read about 500 to 800 ohms per feet. This one reads 640 amps, which is acceptable for a wire this length. Alright, we're gonna put the spark plug wire back and start the engine. If you had broken spark plug wire, here's how to fix it. But remember to check the ohms first. If it was more than 800 ohms per feet, it's better to replace it than fixing it. And now, the engine back to normal idling. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be cleaning and restoring this old leather seat. We're gonna be using Clay's product for cleaning and restoring the color back. So Clay's reached out to me and sent me their product for testing, and I agreed to test them before recommending to anyone who wants to do the same job. They sent me 3 applicator pads with brush and plastic gloves, interior cleaning foam, leather prep and glaze, 2 coloring balm, and a leather protecting wax. We're gonna try all of them step by step and see what different result will give us at the end. They will also send you step-by-step instruction card with QR code for more detailed information. Just scan it with your phone and it will take you to their website. We're gonna start with the applicator pads. They will provide you plastic gloves with each applicator pad. It will keep your hands clean from getting stained when using coloring balm, and the most important, when you are using prep and deglaze. Even if you don't mind getting paint on your hands, don't apply prep and deglaze without gloves, so keep that in mind. First step will be cleaning with interior cleaning foam. I'm sure it will be like any cleaners. Sometimes I use dish soap and water and works great. Using prep and deglaze will strip damaged section and make the leather absorbent for coloring balm. Choose coloring balm matching of your car's leather seat and apply it with provided applicator pad. After 20 hours allowing coloring balm to cure, we're gonna use leather conditioning cream. All the previous steps we do will be protected. Alright, let's start with cleaning. Already put the tape on this section so we know what different result we get, and then I will apply for the whole seat. Using microfiber towel would be good, but I will be using detailing brush as well. I think it will be faster with detailing brush. Next we're gonna be using prep and deglaze. This will strip any wax and protection from the surface. It will make the leather absorbent for the coloring balm, therefore it will provide better bond with the surface. Now we can apply coloring balm matching of car's leather. Applying small amount with circular motion would be good without creating strikes. Even if you saw pad creating lines on the leather, because it dries too fast, use a damp microfiber towel and wipe it off. It's recommended to let it cure for 20 hours before applying conditioning cream. The conditioner has a nice consistency and smells very good. I might apply it on my Toyota Camry interior as well. You won't have striking line problem when applying conditioning wax. It will look oily at the beginning, and then after absorbing it will look like this. I'm really impressed with the result. Not only we cleaned it, but also gave it a natural coloring tone and feels softer than the rest of the seat. And then I decided to apply for the whole section, and we transformed from this to this. My 2017 Toyota Camry's interior in excellent condition, but smells like plastic, so I wanted to apply a conditioning cream for protection and get that nice conditioner smell. Because the seat's half leather and half fabric, it always traps dust, so I used brush and vacuumed out. And then I used interior cleaning foam, but this time I used detailing brush, and I could use less for cleaning bigger surface, and then wipe it off with microfiber towel. So I decided to clean the whole interior with the interior cleaning foam, so I can apply leather conditioner, since I haven't cleaned the seats that good in a long time. I have used leather conditioner before, but either it has no smell or smells really bad, but not like this one. After using applicator pad for one seat, it starts coming off small pieces from the pad, so I had to use microfiber towel. For me, using microfiber towel was better choice for applying conditioner. I could cover bigger surface with less amount of wax, and no need to come over wipe the excess later. Here I like to show you applying conditioner with applicator pad and microfiber towel. With pad, a part of small pieces coming off the pad, it looks wet and uses more wax, but the microfiber towel gives more natural look, fast and uses less wax. I also went over the sections where I applied conditioner with pad and wipe it with microfiber towel. Here is the difference before cleaning and applying wax, and here is after cleaning and applying wax. And here are some before and after pictures, so you know what this product does before buying it. For the upcoming video, I will be using black coloring band for restoring this junkyard steering wheel, so stay tuned for that. After doing all this work, I still have that much left of interior cleaner. Using that much of conditioner, prep and glaze less than half. Coloring band will last you so much, and the black I haven't used it yet. Overall, love the products and I recommend them. Clay's website will be in the video description box below if you wanna check out their products. If you have any suggestions regarding using these products, let me know. If the video was helpful and learned something new, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing engine oil on this 4-cylinder 2.5 liter 2018 Toyota Camry. This procedure will be the same for all 4-cylinder engines from 2018 to 2022 models. So we're gonna need 5 liter of 0W16 synthetic or fully synthetic engine oil. 4-cylinder engines on Toyota Camry needs 4.8 quarts with the filter, which equals to 4.5 liters. That's why I got 5 liters. An engine oil filter, here's the part number. Oil filter socket, it should be 65 to 64 millimeter. Funnel, half-inch ratchet for the filter socket. 10 millimeter for removing oil pan cover. 14 millimeter for removing oil drain bolt. Some used towels and oil drain pan. Alright, let's remove the dipstick out. I like to remove the engine cover so it doesn't get oil on it, because I already washed the engine. Next, removing oil cap. I always like to wipe the top where the cap gasket sits on it and then around it. Not only give me a better seal, but keeps the dirt from falling in the engine accidentally when putting the funnel on. I'm gonna block the rear tire and then jack up the car and put it on a jack stand. It's not necessary to have a jack and jack stand, but you can use your car's jack and lift the car that much so you can reach the drain bolt and the filter. But for me, because I have to show better view angles with the camera and using light, I need more space. Looks like this car missing the engine cover. It should have big plastic cover that bolts on the subframe and a small plastic cover for the oil service. Here is the 14mm oil drain bolt, and here is the 65mm oil filter located at the left side of the engine. Okay, drain pan under the car. Let's remove 14mm drain bolt. While the oil draining, we're gonna put the filter socket on the ratchet and remove the oil filter. Whoever put this filter on used ratchet to tighten it up. You can tell that it's too tight that the engine moves when I'm trying to loosen it up. Oil filters should be hand tightened only without using ratchet. After removing old filter, make sure that the old gasket not still on the engine, and then we're gonna clean it up for the new filter. Let's take the new filter out. They already oiled the rubber gasket, but if it's not, use some oil and put it on a rubber gasket. It will provide better seal and easier for removing for the next oil change. If you noticed, I didn't fill the new filter with the new oil. It's necessary to fill the oil filter only on heavy duty engines because of the filter size. Hand tightening new filter is enough without using ratchet. Next, cleaning drain area and putting back 14mm drain bolt. If you are using torque wrench, torque the 14mm drain bolt to 30 pound-feet of torque. I always like to clean the oil pan and the filter area so I can know if there is any new leak. Alright, we are done under the engine. Let's lower the car so we can fill it with the new oil. First, I'm gonna uncap all the 5 liters. We're gonna put 4 liters and then half of this one, which it will be 4.5 liters, equal to 4.8 quarts. Alright, let's grab the funnel and pour the new oil in the engine. If you own any model of Camry from 2018 to 2022, you can use 0W20 engine oil if you couldn't find 0W16, but for best fuel economy and engine performance, use 0W16. I like to leave it like that to drain while I get another liter. So we're gonna continue pouring 4 liters and then the last one pouring half liter. And here's the last one. We're gonna pour half liter. In total it will be 4.5 liters. Take the funnel out and put the cap back on. Engine cover back on. Let's check the level with the dipstick. Make sure to wipe the dipstick so you don't get wrong reading. It's at the second dot, which is the right level. Now we're gonna start the engine. It's important to start the engine after oil and filter change. Check the drain bolt and the filter for any leak. After oil change, we need to reset scheduled maintenance. We're gonna use arrows at the left side of the steering wheel. Press back, go all the way to the gear icon, vehicle settings, scheduled maintenance, press OK, and reset completed. And now we can get back to the main page. Okay, that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be cleaning and restoring this junkyard steering wheel to this brand new looking, so you can put it on the car. We're gonna start with removing horn buttons, wires, and these plastic trims before doing any cleaning. These electrical components are not waterproof, so if you are planning to do a restoration on a steering wheel with the radio buttons, make sure to remove all of them. I'm gonna start with using leather cleaner, but you can use soap and water as well. And don't worry about stripping all the protection or color fading, because after cleaning we're gonna be applying coloring and leather protection. I'm not a professional or certificated in leather restoration. All these steps I'm gonna show you today based on my personal tests. The final result was so good comparing to how it was, so that's why I wanted to show you. It might help some of you as well. Now we can inspect the leather after cleaning. We have many scratches and small cracks like it has no protection on. The leather surface is rough and it has some high spots, so I'm gonna use a 600 grit sandpaper to level the surface, and then wet sand it with a 1000 grit sandpaper. In case the leather had damaged spot, leather tear, you need to use leather repairing kit, which is basically filler used for fixing leather. But in my case it's just a high spots and sanding will level that out. Alright, now we can move to the second sanding stage, which is wet sanding with a 1000 grit sandpaper. Basically it will smooth out all the fine scratches that 600 created for leveling the high spots. Next, let's wipe the residue off and get it ready for degreasing, but first let's clean our working area. Wiping everything with 70% isopropyl alcohol to remove wax, grease, or any contaminant. Now I'm gonna use leather prep and deglaze. It's a chemical liquid that makes the leather absorbent for any color that you're willing to apply after that. Next I'm gonna apply black coloring balm. It will give the leather its color back and cover all the sanding marks and faded surfaces. I had to apply 2 coats of coloring balm to get the desired color and let it dry. Leather coloring balm will need 24 to 36 hours to cure. Here's after 2 coats of coloring balm and we're gonna let it dry and cure. Okay, it's been after 2 days. I already masked the centerpiece so I can apply 2 coats of matte finish. It will basically protect the color that we applied before. While the first coat drying, I'm gonna sand the plastic trim and paint them the same color. Okay, now we're gonna apply the second coat of matte finish and let it dry for a few hours. Alright, it's been after 3 hours, it's completely dry to touch. We're gonna remove all the plastic and put the buttons, plastic trims back. And here's after all these steps, it looks much better than how it was before. I have never did a restoration video on my channel, but if you guys enjoying and wanna see more, let me know. Whenever you are doing steering wheel swap with airbag, make sure to disconnect one of battery terminals for safety. I didn't show that much details how I removed steering wheel on this Chevy Optra. For each car will be different, how to remove the cover, how to disconnect electronics, but this video all about restoration, that's why I didn't show that much details. With all these easy steps, we could turn this junkyard steering wheel to this brand new looking. Okay, that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I'm gonna give you guys an update on installing oil catch can on Chevy Optra and Toyota Camry. So I found this oil catch can on AliExpress for 80 bucks by the time I'm making this video. If you look at the inside of the oil catch can, here you got the inlet and here you got the outlet with the filter. Make sure to get one with the filter. There are so many oil catch can on the market without filter. So I assembled all the fittings and arranged the hoses, so it will be between the PCV valve and intake manifold to stop oil vapor from burning on the intake valves and the piston heads. I also installed oil catch can for Chevy Optra as well. Both installing videos will be in the video description box below, so is the oil catch can link. It's been over 5,000 kilometers driving with oil catch can installed on Toyota Camry. Let's check the canister to see how much oil stopped from entering intake manifold. If you look at the strainer plate, it's just wet. I don't see any drops of oil. And the container, not that much. It's just a layer of oil. If you wipe it with white paper towel, then we can see it. It is not that much, but think about it. Each 5,000 kilometers getting that much oil and sending to intake manifold, it will build a lot of carbon buildup on the piston and intake valves over a year. Let's put this on a car. I didn't expect that much oil for the Camry because the car is not that old. Let's move to Chevy Optra's oil catch can and see what we got. We can clearly see that it's holding engine oil from entering intake manifold. By the way, the car is not smoking on the exhaust. Usually blue smoking indicates burning oil due to bad piston rings and many other reasons. But some cars producing more oil vapor than the others. I think for 3,000 kilometers holding that much oil is a great result. After installing oil catch can, you need to check it once a while to know how much oil will hold. For me, I will check every oil change and wipe everything clean. And also check the filter. If it was clogged, use carb cleaner and clean the filter. But in this case, it's clean and we're gonna put it back. Hope it gave you a good knowledge how much oil catch can will hold oil from entering intake manifold and reduce engine carbon buildup for an old engine and a new engine. So that was an update on installing oil catch can and why you should install it on your car. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing throttle body on this Chevy Optra step by step with all the tools you will need. We're gonna be replacing this aftermarket throttle body to the OEM one. The aftermarket can't be reprogrammed like the OEM one if you accidentally spray carb cleaner on the throttle body plate in case of cleaning. I have a video how to clean throttle body the right way without damaging it with using CRC throttle body cleaner. The video will be in the description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. In order to remove throttle body, we need to remove this throttle body hose first and then the two coolant lines. Let's use a flat screwdriver and loosen the two hose clamps and put the hose aside without removing upper vacuum line. Next, let's remove throttle body cable just like that, and then throttle body harness connection. Next, let's remove two coolant hoses, but make sure to place the drain pan under the car to catch all that coolant, because coolant is sweet and toxic, so we need to be careful animals don't drink it. Alright, let's use 10mm socket for undoing 3 10mm nuts and 1 10mm bolt. And then we can slide the old aftermarket throttle body out. Here's the aftermarket one. These coolant ports got so much corrosion and also created hole on them. That's why I had to add coolant every month. But we're not gonna have that problem anymore with the new OEM one, and I'm sure it will be more smooth at a low idling engine as well. Alright, make sure that the O-ring sitting in the slot before placing new throttle body. The process of installing new OEM throttle body will be like how we remove it. But pay attention to the tightening nuts. Just tighten each nut at a time to provide throttle body's back have even contact with the intake. Next, let's put coolant hoses back. I also cleaned the hoses from corrosion to have better seal and not leaking coolant. Before putting wire harness back, I like to use some electronic cleaner and leave it to dry before plug it back. While the electronic cleaner drying, we're gonna put the throttle body cable control back, and then the wire harness after giving some time to dry. New throttle body on, and there is not much left. let's put the throttle body hose back and tighten the clamps. We are almost done, and there is only one thing to do, adding some coolant that we lost after taking the hose out. I'm gonna put the same coolant and add it to the full line and put the cap back on, and now we can start the engine. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna check front suspension of my 2017 Toyota Camry. So let's go for a ride and see how it sounds. There's a speed bump up ahead, so I'm not gonna slow down so you guys hear how it sounds. Alright, we are back home. We're gonna jack up the car and put it on a jack stand, and I'm gonna show you a few ways to check the front suspension. So if you don't know where to put the jack stands, you can always check. Like here is the thin metal sheet, and here is the frame, strongest part of the body. So here is where we're gonna place the jack stands. Okay, the car safely on a jack stand, so let me show you the first way of checking front suspension. So the first way, grab the wheel from right and left and try to wiggle it, feeling any play. This is normal sound when you're rotating the wheel, it's differential sound, but side to side, nothing. But if you feel any play side to side, tie rod is damaged or the rock end. Next checking, grab the wheel from top and bottom and try to wiggle it, nothing. If there is a play, lower ball joint damaged or the strut mount. You can also check the strut mount like that with a socket extender or a breaker bar. If you feel any play, strut mount has to be replaced. Alright, let's remove the wheels. If you don't have impact gun, loosen the lug nuts when the wheel on the ground before jacking up the car. After removing the wheel, always place the wheel under the car for extra safety. There is only one thing left to check, and that is sway bar link. Sway bar link connected to sway bar, which it will balance the car around the turn and not letting roll to one side. And sway bar shouldn't be playing like that. So we're gonna need a 90mm and a 70mm. They're not too tight and there is no enough room. So I'm gonna steer the wheel and use socket and extender to give me more leverage. Now I'm gonna use the 90mm to hold it, not letting it spin while loosening 70mm nut. Otherwise it will keep spinning, not getting loose. For the lower sway bar link nut, it's close to the floor and I can't use breaker bar. I can use extender, but for this one I'm gonna show you old school way. Alright, sway bar link is out. It shouldn't be playing freely like that. If you compare it with the new one, it's not easy for moving, and that's how it should be. This is not OEM. The OEM ones are aluminum, but the aftermarkets are metal. Here's a 3D printed ball joint for explanation. How the ball joint wear out over time and make the sound on suspension. It should be tight fit and not moving freely like that. Alright, let's install new sway bar link on a car. Hand tightening upper nut first and then the lower one. And then we're gonna torque 70mm nut to 55 pound-feet of torque. Okay, we are done with the passenger side. Let's turn the steering wheel straight and put the wheel on the car. Replacing sway bar links is one of the easy jobs that you can do at home with a common hand tool without spending too much cash. I also replaced driver's side sway bar link the fast way, which I used impact gun, which will make the job much easier and much faster. But I know not everyone owning tools like that, so that's why I showed the common hand tools method first. Alright, we are done with the driver's side and the passenger side. Let's jack up the car and remove the jack stand, and then lower the car. And now we can torque the wheel lug nuts to 76 pound-feet of torque. And that is how to check suspension on your car and replace sway bar link. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be using this fuel injector cleaning adapter and see if it's any good. In my previous video, I used a DIY hose glued to a carb cleaner straw. We'll see if this fuel injector cleaning adapter better or not. So I will be removing fuel injectors on my 2017 Toyota Camry. And then I'm gonna use fuel injector adapter for cleaning rather than my DIY adapter. In this video I'm not gonna show all the steps how I removed fuel injector, but I have a detailed video how I removed fuel injectors step by step. The video will be in the description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. It's been a long time I haven't cleaned them, so it's a great idea to use the adapter and clean these fuel injectors. So I found this fuel injector cleaning adapter on AliExpress for $260 by the time I am making this video. The package came with two different size adapters and two wire harnesses. The small size adapter will be for Toyota Camry, and there are so many cars that uses the big size adapter. For me it was better to have both so I can use them for different cars. And here is the comparison for two different size fuel injectors. And here are the two different harness adapters for powering fuel injector when cleaning them. The big size wire harness will fit on Toyota Camry's fuel injectors. You can test fuel injectors with car's 12-volt battery and hear solenoids clicking sound. For me it wasn't practical to do that when cleaning fuel injectors, so I'll be using fuel injector tester. This will allow you to send pulse to the fuel injector with 4 different modes. I just need to cut these wires here and connect them with the harness adapter for powering up with the tester. Because giving continuous power to open the fuel injector solenoid will overheat the injector and sometimes will burn the solenoid. So now fuel injector tester ready with the right adapter, so we don't have to worry about burning injector. Before using fuel injector adapter, we need to remove all the O-rings if you are willing to use them again, but I recommend using new one after cleaning and then taking all the filters out before cleaning. This one not only dirty and clogged, it ripped off from a side and let all the dirt get inside the injector, but the other filters are just dirty. I like to spray carb cleaner and clean the outside and the inside as well, so I don't push the dirt inside the injector when powering up the solenoid. So for using adapter, remove the nozzle on a carb cleaner can and push the adapter on, and then insert the injector and then the wire harness. Now we can connect these two to a car's battery, and I like to use mode 4, which is continuous pulse. And then holding the nozzle and pushing it down on the carb cleaner at the same time. Remember that you have to always hold the fuel injectors, otherwise it will pop out. This time you're gonna give it 12 volts just like the wire comes with the adapter. I wanna show you how it looks comparing to the pulse mode. And it will clean much faster, but it's a bit risky. Here is another fuel injector, and this time I will use single pulse with the tester. It will let the solenoid open for a longer time and let it clean faster than continuous pulse. One of the important points when you are done with cleaning, just power up the fuel injector without pushing the adapter on a carb cleaner can, so it will release all the pressure before removing fuel injector. Alright, we are done with cleaning. Next I will replace the filters with a new one, and also I will be replacing the O-rings as well, so we don't have any fuel leaking problem. I always recommend to put the filter basket in first and then the O-rings, so I did that for all fuel injectors. Next, oiling the O-rings and then putting them on the fuel rod. So after cleaning fuel injectors, I put everything back. These fuel injector cleaning adapters and the injector tester made the job so much easier. The only thing I didn't like about it, that you have to hold the injectors, otherwise carb cleaner can pressure will push it out. Everything I used will be in the video description box below. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing fuel pump and fuel filter on my 2017 Toyota Camry, and also show you the symptoms how to know if you have a bad fuel pump or clogged fuel filter. The first thing you will notice when turning the engine on, you have a check engine light on and traction control or vehicle stability control is off due to engine power loss. So I'm gonna be using my OBD scanner to see what kind of error code we have. Already connected with my phone, we're gonna go to fault codes, show logged faults, and the code is PO171, which means system too lean bank 1. System too lean means less air or less fuel entering the engine. My Camry is 4 cylinders, not a V6, so it will be bank 1. But the V6 engines you have bank 1 and bank 2, which means right side cylinders and the left side cylinders. Let's check if you have less air entering the engine. check the rubber hose that connects filter box with the throttle body if it's loose or cracked. And sometimes clogged filter prevent air from entering the engine. No problem with air. Next will be fuel pump and fuel filter, which I'm sure about it, less fuel entering the engine. Because when I cleaned fuel injectors in my previous video, all fuel injector filter were clogged. So we're gonna have to remove fuel pump, which is located under rear seat. There are two tabs holding the seat. All you have to do, lift it up from the corners and take it out. We're gonna need a flat screwdriver, lift the cover and remove wire harness. Before removing any hose, I'm gonna clean the dust so it doesn't get into the hoses or fall into the fuel tank after removing fuel pump. Let's remove the hoses. This one is tab slides and then you can remove it. But these two, carefully remove the yellow tab so you don't break them. This is a fuel discharge line, so wear eye protection before removing it. I'm gonna place some sharp towels around here so when fuel drops accidentally during taking the fuel pump out, these will catch it. Otherwise the car will smell like gas for days. Let's quickly wipe the fuel and remove these 8mm bolts all around the fuel cover. After removing the flange, it should pop out just like this. Carefully lift it up and remove this hose. Now it's free for taking out. Take your time so you don't damage or bend fuel gauge. We're gonna put new fuel pump on, new fuel filter, this one prevents dirt from entering fuel pump, and new main fuel filter, which holds dirt from entering fuel injectors. You can also buy the whole unit, but replacing fuel pump and fuel filter will be much cheaper if you don't have any problem with fuel gauge or don't have any broken parts. Next, remove this hose so we can work on this part only. We're gonna remove the old fuel filter and the pressure regulator. We're gonna use this spacer from old fuel pump and this pressure regulator for the new fuel filter. And this plastic tab from old fuel filter. Here are the three things I'm gonna use again with the new fuel filter and the fuel pump. With the O-rings, I'm gonna use new ones. Let's quickly clean fuel pressure regulator and put the new items back just like we remove it. Here are all the parts we need. I'm gonna start with pressure regulator. Put the new O-rings on, loop the O-rings, insert in the new fuel filter. Next, put the spacer on the fuel pump and then the new O-ring. Loop the O-ring, insert it in the new fuel filter. Now we can put the bottom filter on and it will hold the fuel pump and the pressure regulator. Upper plastic holder on and give it a quick cleaning before putting the filter in. Connect the fuel pump wire and now we need to heat this hose and insert it here. I am far away from the car now. I always like to put a hose clamp on and then put the hose back in. It will provide better seal. Manage the wires and put them in their slots. Now we are done with putting everything back. But if you wanna buy the whole unit, here is the part number. You just need to take the old one out and put the new one in. Don't forget to connect the hose back. Sometimes it falls down in the fuel tank and you will forget it. So keep that in mind. After connecting all the hoses back, connect the wire harness and start the engine. It will start a bit late because the new fuel filter is empty. So it will take some time and then it will start. It should only happen once after putting everything back. One last check before putting the cover back, in case there is a fuel leak. If you continuously having hard start after replacing fuel pump and fuel filter, it means you have a fuel leak in one of the O-rings and not holding fuel pressure. Alright, we are almost done. Let's connect the OBD scanner again and erase the code. And here is how to fix code P0171 and replace fuel pump and fuel filter on 2015 to 2017 Toyota Camry. So that's for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing fuel pressure regulator and show you the symptoms how the bad fuel pressure regulator sounds like. Bad fuel pressure regulator will cause rich burning, which means sending more fuel than the recommended amount, or lean burning, which is sending less fuel than the recommended amount. So in both cases, engine will lag and misfire sometimes. If the engine lags at low RPM, it means more fuel entering combustion chamber due to closed pressure regulator. And if the engine lags at high RPM, it means less fuel entering combustion chamber, and that happens in many cases. Stuck open pressure regulator, clogged fuel filter, clogged fuel injectors, or a bad fuel pump. Fuel pump pushes gas through filter and passes pressure regulator and then reaches fuel injectors. Next, fuel pressure regulator open and release excessive pressure and keep the pressure steady at all times. If the fuel pressure regulator is stuck close, it will increase pressure and send more fuel to the fuel injectors, which is rich burning, and it will cause lagging at low RPM like my car here. And if the fuel pressure regulator is stuck open, it won't let the fuel reach to the recommended pressure, because more fuel returns to the gas tank than sending to the injectors, and that causes lean burning and the engine will lag at high RPM. Here I got a new pressure regulator, fuel enters here, and here is the return line to the fuel tank again. So I had to take the fuel pump out and disassemble wire harness and the fuel gauge. This is not gonna be a detailed video how to remove fuel pump, but I did a detailed video how to replace fuel pump and fuel filter on my 2017 Toyota Camry. You can check that out later for more information. Before putting new pressure regulator on, I would like to replace bottom filter as well. I'm gonna be using new hose for this, because these hoses can be used only one time. Make sure you are far away from the car when using heat for the hose. Once you heat the hose and put it on, you cannot use it again if you remove them. One quick cleaning before assembling everything back and applying oil to the o-ring. It will provide better seal. And the last thing, putting wire harness and the fuel gauge back. It's always a good idea to remove fuel gauge when working on fuel pump, so you don't damage or bend it accidentally. And now we are ready to put the fuel pump on the car and start the engine. With the new fuel pressure regulator, there is no lag and instant acceleration on the engine. Here's how it was before, and here is how it is now. After I checked the valve, there was some stuck particles inside the fuel pressure regulator. Cleaning might help, but I prefer a new one. Hope I gave you a good explanation how fuel pressure regulator work and how they look when they go bad. So that's for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be checking front suspension after having accident if you lose control and hit the sidewalk. So this car been hit from the back and lost control, and then hit the front right wheel to the sidewalk, and now the steering wheel not centered and the wheel slightly went backward. We also got some more damages with the bumper, but we will be focusing on fixing suspension, which is the important part. So let's go ahead and jack up the car and put it on a jack stand and remove the wheel. The reason I'm doing this video is to show you where is the weak point will get damaged first when you have accident like this, so you have a good idea even if you take your car to the dealer. Alright, the wheel is off, let's turn the steering wheel. The first thing I can notice, the lower control arm bended, twisted backward and made the sway bar link end hit the axle, which was making grinding sound in the hard turns. I also checked the other parts of suspension and they were all fine. So the weak point will be lower control arm. When we replace the lower control arm, it comes with new ball joint and new bushings. So any of these are damaged, we don't have any problem. So for removing lower control arm, we need to undo this 70mm bolt for front bushing and this 70mm bolt for back bushing, and then the 40mm for ball joint. These bolts has never been removed from factory, so I'm gonna be spraying some WD-40 to make removing job easier, even though I will be using impact gun, but it will keep the thread safe from damaging. Alright, the lower control arms out. If you look at them side by side, we can clearly see that it's been bended, and if you wanna make sure, use a leveling tool or ruler. The new control arm sits flush with the leveling bar. but the old one not sitting flush with the control arm, and there is a big gap between control arm and leveling tool. So that is a good indication to know that we have a damaged lower control arm before replacing. So we're gonna put the new control arm back just like we remove it. The only problem you will face, putting the ball joint shaft back. A simple trick for putting the ball joint shaft back is to use the jack and gently jack from ball joint without using hammer. Now we can put the 40mm bolt back and then torque all the 3 bolts to the factory spec. The sway bar link is far away from the axle now comparing how it was before. Let's put the wheel back and lower the car. Many people say that impact gun will damage the bolt or a nut, but I always hand tie the bolt or a nut and then use power tool, and my power tool on lowest setting, so it's not over tightening any bolt. That's why I always torque the bolt after using impact gun. Alright, the wheel is back to its place comparing how close it was to the fender before. The steering wheel slightly to the left side now. For fixing that you need to take the car to the alignment shop. It will be just alignment without replacing any part. And that is how to replace lower control arm after having an accident like this. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. Have you left the trunk lever and the trunk nut opening? Well, in today's video, I will show you how to fix it at home without replacing anything. In this case, we have two possibilities. We might have broken or dislocated cable at the handle side, or we have broken or dislocated cable from trunk latch side. But I'm pretty sure we have a problem from handle side, because when I lift it slowly, I can hear clicking sound. So in this case, we have a problem here. Let's go ahead and remove this 10mm bolt so we can remove the handle. After removing the bolt, slide the handle forward and flip it 180 degrees to see the cable. So the trunk cable is broken. Let's get a pair of pliers and slide the cable out just like this. And the inner core from the handle. So right now the inner core shorter by 5mm. What I'm gonna do, I will remove the white plastic and then cut the black cable and put the white plastic back. Basically I am moving white plastic back to compensate the length that we lost. So let's go ahead and remove this plastic head by pulling it out just like that, and then cut these wires. Therefore the inner core will be longer than how it was before. Here is the plastic head, we remove it and we cut the black cable so the inner core will be longer. Before putting the plastic head back, we need to use 4.5mm drill bit to remove the remaining black plastic out. So here is how to reuse the plastic head, but because I have new one, I will use the new one. But you can use the old one and it doesn't make any difference. I'm gonna use a drop of glue. Even if you don't use the glue, it won't move after installing everything back. Be careful when you're applying the glue on the cable, not touching the inner core, otherwise it will jam. A little bit of activator, and we are done. Next we're gonna measure the inner core. Because it's longer now, we're just gonna cut the axis. Let's do a final measurement check. It should reach till end of the hole, not longer. And the final step to press this on the inner core. You can make this by cutting a 3.5 or 4mm metal rod about 1 cm and drill a 2mm hole in the center. I'm gonna be using a small vase for pressing, but if you have a hydraulic press it's better, but the vase does the job so we don't need it. Next we're gonna slide it in just like that, and then the plastic head. After putting the cable back, make sure the handle moving freely before installing it back, and here to open the trunk. After we made sure that everything works freely, we're gonna slide the handle back just like we remove it, and then tighten the 10mm bolt back. If you take this car to a dealer, they will have to remove some of the interior parts and back seat to remove the trunk cable out and put a new cable in, and it will be expensive. So hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be installing oil catch can on this 2008 Toyota Camry to keep the intake valves and the piston head clean. I also installed on 2 different cars before and showed the result after a month of installing. So if you are interested, check the result before installing oil catch can on your car. The video will be in the description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. So I found this oil catch can on AliExpress for 17 bucks by the time I am making this video. Whenever you want to buy oil catch can, make sure it has this strainer plate to separate the oil from oil vapor and this filter to stop the oil from entering intake manifold. Pretty much the installation very easy, but before doing that, let's remove the ports and the bottom bolt first so we can apply Teflon to prevent from leaking air. Because it will be on a vacuum line, any air leak will cause the engine's RPM goes higher and having check engine light on. The inlet and outlet ports are hard plastic, so make sure you don't over tight them, otherwise they will break, but so far I haven't break any. The first thing I always do after installing the ports and the bottom canister, thinking about a good spot for fastening the bracket. It has to be a cold zone of the engine, so the oil condensate in the canister and not too far from PCV valve, otherwise you have to use a long hose. We're gonna need a piece of hose for the inlet port, 2 hose clamps, self-tapping screw which came with the oil catch can, and I would like to use thread locker to prevent from getting loose. So let's go ahead and remove the engine cover to have a better idea where we're gonna install the hoses. So the factory hose will be connected to the outlet port, and we're gonna need a hose from inlet to the PCV valve. According to the spot I'm installing oil catch can, this has to be flat, and applying some thread lockers to the screws to prevent from getting loose. Alright, both screws are on. I'm gonna use Allen key and fasten the top bracket after adjusting the port's directions. Next, removing PCV hose. It's a good time to remove PCV valve while the cover and the hoses are removed. So I'm gonna be using some carb cleaner and clean the trapped oil from PCV valve, which it will minimize that problem after installing oil catch can. Okay, the PCV valve is clean now. You should be able to hear steel bolt sound inside. So we're gonna put it back and then the hoses. Next, we're gonna be installing inlet hose. One end will be on the inlet port of the oil catch can and the other end on the PCV valve. So here is the final assembly. The oil vapor will exit from PCV valve and enters oil catch can and separates the oil and then enters intake manifold. Your hose installation should not be exactly like mine here because inlet and the outlet ports are different on some oil catch cans, depends on the brand and the model. So pay attention on the inlet and the outlet ports of the oil catch can, from PCV to inlet of the oil catch can, and from outlet of the oil catch can to the intake manifold. So that's for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing engine oil and the filter on my 2017 Toyota Camry. So we're gonna need a 4 liter of 0W20 synthetic or fully synthetic oil and a 1 liter of same viscosity. This 2.5 4-liter cylinder engine needs 4.6 squirt, which equals to 4 liter and 350 milliliters of engine oil. We also gonna need a filter cartridge, which comes with new O-rings, 64 to 65 millimeter filter socket, funnel, and oil drain pan. So now we know where we need to get the job done. Let's pull the dipstick out and remove the oil cap. I'm gonna jack up the car and put it on a jack stand. Because I will be working with camera and light, I will need more space. But even if you don't have a jack and jack stand like me here, you can use your car jack just to lift it up a bit so it's easier to get under the car. But I usually don't use jack and jack stand when I do my regular oil changing. Alright, let's remove the drain pan plug and throw it under the engine. The first thing you will see is the oil filter, which is located at the front of the engine oil pan, and then the oil drain bolt. Let's get a 14mm and undo the drain bolt. While the oil draining, let's work on the filter. So the first thing we're gonna do, remove this drain plug. It will drain the oil from the filter, so it doesn't make a mess when you remove the plastic housing. Every new filter comes with plastic adapter that will be inserted on the filter housing like that to drain the oil filter. Okay, after the draining is done, remove the plastic adapter, give it a quick wipe, and then remove the plastic housing. Now we can remove the plastic housing. It will be almost empty from engine oil. And here is how it looks like if you don't drain the oil with the adapter that comes with the filter. It will make a mess and spill the oil all over the floor if your drain pan not big enough. Even if you don't wipe inner filter housing, not a big deal. But I always do that because I've seen piece of O-rings before. That's why I always wipe it off and make sure it's clean. Same thing with the filter housing. I always clean it with carb cleaner and wipe it off before installing the new O-rings and the filter. Use a small flat screwdriver to remove the O-rings. And now it's time for the new O-rings and the filter. I'm just gonna put this on and then tighten it later on the engine. Make sure the O-ring sits in its groove and then put the new filter on. I'm just gonna use some oil to lube the new O-ring. It will provide better seal and easier removing for next oil change. Alright, let's put the filter housing on. Hand tighten it first and then use the filter socket. And then tighten the drain plug and we are done with the filter. By the time we are done with the filter, the drain is completely done. Now we're gonna put the drain bolt back on. And I like to use some carb cleaner or a brake cleaner, so if there is any leak, it will be obvious to find out. Next I'm gonna jack up the car and remove the jack stands, so we can have accurate level reading after filling up with new engine oil. Alright, let's fill it with new oil. I'm gonna empty the whole 4 liter and then use 1 liter for the 350 milliliter that will remaining. For the 1 liter, I always like to put 2 holes on it and then use measuring cup and measure 350 milliliter of engine oil. In my case, it's 250 milliliter cup, so I will add 250 milliliter and then another 100 milliliters. Here is the 250 and here is another 100 milliliter and we are done with filling up with new oil. Alright, let's remove the funnel and put the cap back on. After a few minutes letting the oil settle, we're gonna measure it with the dipstick and we are at the right level. And we are done with the oil change. But I always like to check the oil catch can that I installed in my previous video and see how much oil collected and not letting create carbon buildup in the engine. Detailed video will be in the video description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. That much oil being collected after 5,000 miles. You just have to drain it and clean it with the oil change. It will keep the intake valves and the piston head clean. I also like to clean the oil catch can strainer plate before putting the canister back. Now we are almost done. Let's start the engine and check the filter housing in case there is any oil leak. We're gonna be using right side arrows of the steering wheel. Go to the gear icon, go all the way down to the maintenance reset, press yes. Maintenance reset completed. And here's how to replace engine oil and the filter on 2015 to 2017 Toyota Camry. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be reviewing and testing CG Solid OBD scanner and see if it will be useful for you or not before purchasing one. Before opening the package, they mention all the features that this OBD scanner capable of and we're gonna try them one by one. So let's go ahead and open the package and see what we got. So here is the OBD scanner itself. The main body is hard plastic, no rubber grip, no battery required, which is a good thing, and a decent length wire. It comes with a useful manual if you wanna learn using all the features for this OBD scanner, and a warranty card. You can fill this up and send them to get 1 year of warranty. They also provide you a USB cable for a lifetime free update and printing data that you previously saved it in the CG Solid storage, but you need to install the CG Solid software first on your computer. The buttons are rubber, which is a good thing when your hands dirty, and there is 3 light indicators for IM readiness emission test. Green indicates that the engine is okay and working properly. Yellow, the tool finds problem. It will be in 2 possibilities, which I will show you later. Red indicates that there is a problem or more than one with the system, and it will not pass emission test. The buttons are easy for understanding. Here's back, here's OK, here's reset, and here's the info, and the arrows for up and down and left and right, and the middle one is the emission test. Alright, let's go ahead and test it on a Camry first. The OBD scanner port located under the steering wheel. Once we plug it in, it will power up the CG Solid OBD scanner. We're gonna put the key on ignition position so it can communicate with CG Solid OBD scanner. First of all, I'm gonna go to setting and turn off the beeping sound so you don't have to hear it continuously. There is also options for changing units from metric to English and changing language as well. From About tab, you can know the serial number, when it's made, and all this stuff. Here you can save the data and print it later with the software on a computer. Here you can watch saved data. DTC lookup. Here you can search a specific code and know what it means. For example, let's try. That was wrong. Let's try something else. So if you didn't have internet access and wanted to search for a specific code, this will be helpful for you because all the codes are saved in this device. Okay, let's go to OBD tab and try one of the features that this device provides, which is live data. It will take some time to list all the sensors that this car has for reading data. Watching these live data are important when you have error code with the sensor and you want to know when it will miss reading with the graph. Let's try catalytic temperature. The temperature is rising and reading it, so it's live data. Another feature this device provides is onboard monitoring. If you press it, it will list all the cars. So let's choose Toyota, and if you go to misfire, you can choose individual cylinder as well. It will show the number of misfire. So no misfire so far. Let's try another feature, which is emission test. Just press the middle button and it will check the car. We can see the yellow light is on. These are ready for reading, these are not ready, and these are not supported. If you remember that there are two possibilities when you have yellow indicator. If you have code, in my case, I don't have error code or engine light is on. So in the manual it says, some of vehicles emission monitor not working properly when it shows no DTC, but the yellow light is on, so the monitor has not running. The most important feature of the OBD scanner is reading codes. We have this car here with the warning engine lights on. Let's read the code. Even if you're not fixing your car, you can read the codes and print the errors and take it to the dealer and tell them that you have these problems. That way you won't need them to test the car and pay extra each time you have a problem with your car. Red light indicator is on and it means we have some serious problem with the engine. It found two codes. We have a code at stored code. The code is PO341, which is the camshaft sensor. Let's go back and add the pending codes. Same code PO341, which is the camshaft sensor. So this car was shutting off the engine by itself in the middle of the road few times a day. We easily found the error code with the CG Solid OBD scanner. You just need to replace the camshaft sensor or take it to a mechanic and tell them to replace the sensor for you. So after fixing the problem, you can use CG Solid for erasing the codes. Let's say you fix the problem and change the sensor and want to erase the code, but the error code will come back again because we haven't replaced the sensor yet. All these are not supported with this car, but the green light indicator is on, so it will pass the emission test, but the engine error code will come back again because we haven't replaced the sensor yet. And the last important feature that I want to share with you is the ID number. You can know your car's ID number and compare it with the one on the plate to see if they match. This one is important when you're buying a used car and want to know if they replaced the electronic control unit or the main ID plate on the body. I had this one before and needed to connect with my phone for reading and erasing the codes. But with the CG Solid, you will have more features than reading and erasing the codes. In my opinion, it's a good tool to have even if you're not fixing your car. The link will be in the video description box below. Use my discount code AliMECH to get 12% off. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing broken door handle with a simple hand tools without taking to a mechanic to change it for you and charge you extra money. So first of all, we're gonna use plastic trim remover to remove the plastic around the door handle. Next, removing this cover, which it will reveal the screw that holds the door handle to the frame. Next, removing these screws that holds the bottom of the door cover. The car you're working on might be different, but look for a screw before pulling the door cover so you don't break anything. For most cars, there will be a screw in an armrest hole. Usually they are covered with a small plastic cover. Alright, after removing all the screws, we're gonna pull it forward and then lift it. You can remove the wire harness and take the cover out of the way, but I'm just gonna lower it like this, but make sure that it doesn't put the tension on the wire harness first. We already removed the screw, so we're just gonna slide it forward and it comes out just like this. Next, we're gonna use a flat screwdriver and remove this rod, which controls door latch. Now we're gonna install the new door handle. I already took them apart. First of all, you have to put the rod back on, slide it in the frame, and then put the screw back on. After installing the new door handle, I recommend you to check if it's working or not before putting the cover back on. You can check it even without closing the door. Use a screwdriver, lock the latch, and open it. Alright, we are almost done. Let's put the cover back on. Slide it from the top first, and then push the plastic clips. Next, putting all the screws back on, 1 for the armrest and 3 for the bottom of the door cover. These steps will be exactly a reverse of how we removed the door cover and the door handle trims. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something new. If you did, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be testing Marvel Mystery Oil and see if it can remove engine oil sludge. I've been using a local oil brand, and in a few months, engine turned from this to this. Looks like it was a recycled oil. But we have a Marvel Mystery Oil to test out, and some of you recommended me to test it. So in today's video, we're gonna see if it works or not. So it mentions that it can improve compression, power, mile per gallon, lubricating upper cylinder for smoother idling, keeping the engine clean from sludge. That's what we're gonna be focusing on. Here it mentions that if you want to use it as a fuel cleaner, 4 ounces will treat 10 gallons. And if you want to use it as oil sludge cleaner, we have to replace 20% of the engine oil with Marvel Mystery Oil. So this engine here takes 3.5 liters. 20% of 3.5 liters will be 700 milliliters. The MMO bottle is 473 milliliters. So it's a bit less, but we're gonna try the whole bottle anyway. So for testing Marvel Mystery Oil, I'm gonna replace the oil so we have a clear idea that's working or not. This oil already has 3000 on it, so we're gonna drain the oil and pour the Marvel Mystery Oil in the engine with the new oil. While the oil draining, I'm gonna remove the engine cover so we have a clear idea how much oil sludge we have before using new oil and the Marvel Mystery Oil. I'm removing the engine cover for experiment reason, so you guys have a good idea how much sludge will clean after using Marvel Mystery Oil. You don't have to remove engine cover or any part. You just need to pour Marvel Mystery Oil in the engine and drive the car 500 to 1000 miles, and then change the engine oil and the filter. So here is how the engine looks before using Marvel Mystery Oil. If we try to wipe the sludge here and compare it after cleaning, let's remember how it's been removed with a sharp towel, so we can try another spot after using Marvel Mystery Oil. Alright, draining is done. Let's put the drain bolt back on and tighten it back. Next, let's crack the bottle open and pour the Marvel Mystery Oil in the engine. It looks so satisfying like this, but you can pour it in from oil cap. Now we have a good idea how the engine looks. Let's put the cover back on. Alright, after putting everything back, I'm gonna pour some new oil. I didn't change the oil filter. You can do it if you like, but we're gonna be changing the oil soon. It's just for flushing. So you just need to drive the car with Marvel Mystery Oil 500 to 1000 miles. Let's turn the engine on and zero out one of the trips. Alright, it's been after 1200 kilometers, which it will be 741 miles. We're gonna drain the oil, and this time we're gonna replace the oil filter as well, because we don't want any of that cleaner stays in the engine. While we let the oil drain, let's remove the cover so we can see the difference. So here is how it looks like after 745 miles with Marvel Mystery Oil. This spot over here we cleaned it before. Let's try this one and see how easily it will be cleaned. If we compare it with before, it was easier, but the oil sludge still here. Let's try another spot. Looks like it didn't help with cleaning on this side. It's still here and hard for removing. Let's look at the before and after videos and see how different they look. To me it looks a bit darker, even though it's been shot at the same daylight hour. I use same camera stick, and I'm gonna let you guys decide how you guys seeing the difference. So after using cleaner, putting the drain bolt back on and using new oil filter, and pouring some new oil after putting the cover back on. Hope you guys have a good idea how to use Marvel Mystery Oil for removing engine oil sludge. If you have used Marvel Mystery Oil and had better result for removing oil sludge, I would love to hear from you. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. Have you turned on the windshield wipers and only one of them working? So in today's video, we're gonna see what causes that problem and show you how to fix it. So the windshield wipers motor and the arms located under this cover. Let's go ahead and pop the hood. The plastic cover might be a long piece on your car, but on this car in two pieces. But we need to remove the wiper arms first in order to remove this cover. Let's remove this cover and get a 40mm wrench and break this nut loose. The wiper's arm not gonna be removed from the shaft easily, so I'm gonna spray some WD-40 and let it penetrate while we undo the other arm. Next, I'm gonna use slip joint pliers to remove the arms from the shaft. There is a special tool for that, but the slip joint pliers work good. These plastic tab removing pliers will come in handy for removing tabs for interior and exterior. Alright, let's go ahead and remove the cover. So the first thing we can see, the connecting arm between two wipers came off. Let's remove the wire harness and remove the whole motor mechanism out so we can know why it came off. The whole unit being fastened with 3 10mm bolts. We can snap the connecting arm back, but I wanna see why it came off so it won't happen again. One side of the plastic joint is broken, that's why it came off. Even if you put it back, it will come off again. So you can replace this link only, but I bought the whole unit without motor. So with the new linkage wiper, we need to undo these two 10mm bolts for removing the motor, and this 12mm for removing motor arm. An easy trick for removing motor arm, put a socket extender so it won't spin. Next, break the connecting arm free just like this. Next, undoing the 10mm bolts so we can swap the motor with the new wiper linkage. Swapping motor with the new wiper linkage is very easy. Just put the new and the old linkage side by side with the same orientation so you can only move the motor. If the orientation changed for the motor or the linkage, the wipers will move in reverse or it won't line up the bolts. If any of these happen to you, it means the installation of the motor or the arms in reverse. Another trick, you can use a screwdriver when tightening motor arm and then back it up and remove the screwdriver just like this. Before putting back the wiper linkage, it was a good time to clean this area since it's not being cleaned from the factory. So I covered the wire harness and the inlet cabin filter with plastic. So I quickly rinsed the dust off with pressure washer, especially in the corners, and then use engine degreaser and agitate it with detailing brush and rinse it again. Next, using microfiber towel to wipe the area. I like to use electronic contact cleaner on the wire harness, in case if there is any moisture left in the wire harness. So the installation will be reverse of how we remove it. Just put the bolts back and tighten it again, and then put the wire harness back. After putting the motor linkage back, it should be something like this. Now we can put the covers back on. Some of the plastic tab broke when removing plastic cover because it gets brittle over time. So I got new ones and I'm gonna replace all of it with new ones. Alright, the plastic cover is secured now, not moving. Now we can put the wipers back on. Make sure both wiper arms parallel together and then put the nut back on and tighten it back. We are almost done putting the plastic caps back on and it should be something like this. Before testing the wipers, I found out the driver's side wiper in bad condition. The whole rubber tip is gone, so I replaced both wipers with new ones. I also replaced the passenger side wiper, even though it was in good condition, but the new ones I got better quality, so it was better to replace both. And now let's test them out. With the new wiper and the motor linkage, it's much quiet now, so if you have broken linkage, it's better to replace the whole mechanism, because when one linkage broke, there is a good chance that soon you will need to replace the bushings as well. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be using piston cooling system cleaner and flush the system few times till it gets super clean, and then add 50-50 pre-mixed antifreeze. So before doing anything, make sure the engine cold to touch, because when the engine at idling temperature, the cooling system will be around 90 degrees Celsius and it will be pressurized. Looks like the engine been running on low coolant and losing coolant, and I found out the leak right away. one of the radiator hoses were leaking here. It's an easy fix. If the hose not damaged, we just have to clean it and put it back. So we're gonna need cooling system cleaner. I will be using Pristone's cooling system cleaner in this video and 50/50 premixed antifreeze. I recommend to check your owner's manual to know how much coolant you will need before doing this job, so you don't run out of coolant. So I'm gonna jack up the car and put it on a jack stand. That way I will have more room when draining the coolant. Alright, drain pan under the car. So we're gonna start with removing outlet hose of the radiator and the inlet hose of the radiator. You can use the drain plug, but I prefer removing the hoses. It's much faster. So here is the inlet hose of the radiator and here is the outlet hose of the radiator. With a simple brushing and using sandpaper, it went from this to this. Now we're gonna use a garden hose and let the water come out till you see the water is clean. And then we're gonna put the inlet and the outlet hose back. And now it's time for cooling system cleaner. A bottle of cleaner will treat up to 3 gallons, so for small engines, 1 bottle is enough. So for light cleaning, run the engine for 10 minutes, and heavy duty cleaning, run the engine 3 to 6 hours. Next, we're gonna fill the rest with tap water. You can use distilled water as well, but since it's not staying that much, we are good to go. Alright, we are at the right level. Next, we're gonna start the engine. I'm gonna let it run for 2 hours. Okay, it's been after 15 minutes and the engine warming up. After you see all the bubble came out, we're gonna put the reservoir cap back on and we're gonna let it run for 2 hours. It's been after 2 hours, now we're gonna turn the engine off. Next, I will leave the engine cool down for a few hours, so we can drain the coolant. Alright, the engine cold to touch, now we're gonna drain the cleaner. And here is how much it cleaned, and there is some still left in the reservoir. Next, we're gonna flush the system with the same procedure till the water comes out clean, and we will be sure that no cleaner left in the engine. After 3 cycles running the engine with tap water, it finally cleaned the reservoir. Next, I'm gonna use compressed air to push all the remaining water out. It's not necessary, but if you do it, you will have more accurate coolant ratio without mixing with tap water. And finally, we're gonna put the inlet hose of the radiator and the outlet hose of the radiator back on the engine. Now we're gonna pour the 50/50 premixed antifreeze in the radiator reservoir. You don't have to use distilled water with this, it's premixed and ready to use. Before starting this job on your car, make sure to check your owner's manual to know exactly how much antifreeze you will need. That way you will know 1 bottle cleaner will be enough or not. Here is the 2nd gallon of antifreeze. I'm gonna fill it up till it reaches max line on the reservoir. Now we're gonna start the engine and let it reach idling temperature with the cap open to let all the bubbles out. If the level went down, add some antifreeze till it stays on max line. When you see no bubbles comes out anymore, put the cap back on, and here's how to bleed the cooling system. After running the engine for a while and the coolant level stayed on max level, we are good to go and the system is bubble free. Check out the before and after result how it cleaned the reservoir. The cleaner been circulating through the entire system and it will clean all, not only the reservoir. But the reservoir is a clear indication that it worked and cleaned the system. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be transforming this oxidized headlight to this brand new looking one. So with the most headlight restorations, you can use some fine sandpaper and then use polishing compound to bring the shine back if the headlight was looking like this. But with this one, the clear coat completely oxidized and this method won't work. So my idea is to use some coarse sandpaper like 400 and sand the clear coat to the bare plastic and then apply the clear coat again. So we're gonna need masking tape, these grids of sandpaper, rubbing compound, polishing compound, and liquid wax or a paste wax to protect it from UV light. And then we're gonna apply clear coat. You can get 2K clear coat with a spray can as well, but make sure it's 2K clear coat because it's dry fast and it's UV resistance. Alright, let's give it a quick cleaning and mask the edges so we don't damage any paint job. I'm gonna start with 400 grit sandpaper and I will be using sanding pad as well so I get even sanding surface. Alright, after sanding for a while, this is bare plastic, and here is clear coat still left. It should be all like this. So let's go ahead and sand the surface even more. Pay good attention to the corners, because if the new clear coat peels off, it will be from the edges, not in the middle of the headlight. Alright, the headlight clear coat free. Now we're gonna wet sand it with 600 grit sandpaper up to 1000 grit sandpaper. I also did the same steps of the camera for the other side as well. So let's go ahead and wash it with a dish soap to remove any contaminant for applying new clear coat. Next, after drying the headlight, we're gonna mask it again for applying clear coat. The clear coat I'm using is 2:1 ratio, but if you are using spray can, it's much easier and much faster. Alright, before applying clear coat, make sure to wipe the headlights with rubbing alcohol to prevent from creating fisheye if there was any oil spot. We're gonna apply 3 light coats for each headlight. Don't apply a thick coat at once, otherwise it will run. Alright, it's been after 15 minutes from applying third coat. Now we're gonna remove the masking tape and the papers. The headlights came out so good comparing to how it was before. You can leave it like that if you want, but I'm gonna wet sand it with a 1000 grit sandpaper to remove any orange peel, and then I'm gonna apply protection to protect it from UV light. I'll be using a 1000 grit and 2000 grit sandpaper, and then use rubbing compound and a polishing compound. You can do it by hand or a machine. I'm gonna be using machine, it's much faster. And I'm gonna be using protection like a liquid wax or a paste wax to prevent it from oxidizing again. After wet sanding with a 1000 and 2000 grit sandpaper, you should have an even haze just like this one. I'm gonna apply 5 dots of rubbing compound on the pad so we can bring back the shine. I will be starting with low speed and then high speed with 50% overlap. Next, I'm gonna apply polishing compound. It will fine the surface even more. This is the last step. We're gonna apply wax to protect it from getting oxidized again. So let's go ahead and apply a thick coat of wax and let it dry. Okay, it's been after 5 minutes and the wax completely dry. Let's go ahead, wipe the residue with a microfiber towel and reveal crystal clear headlights. The difference like a day and night. Here is how it was before and how it is now, with using some sandpaper, clear coat and polishing compound. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I'm gonna give you some tips and Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I'm gonna show you a problem that makes the engine misfire, unstable, and even hard starting in the morning. And I will show you an easy fix problem that mechanics convince you to replace a part that you don't even need to. So this review of drum is firing, and even though I replaced the fuel injectors, spark plugs and spark plug wires, it was working perfect until this week. So I had to take the spark plug wires to check if there is any oil on them, but they were all dry. And then I continued to remove the spark plug to investigate what is happening. So the first thing we can see, the spark plug tips are all black, which tells us that we didn't have clean burning in the combustion chamber, whether if there was more fuel or less air. And the second problem with the spark plugs is oil burned mark, which it will be in two categories. First one called compression leaking, that you need to replace the spark plugs, and it will be something like this. And the second one called corona stain, that you don't even need to replace the spark plugs, and it won't affect the engine's performance. Most mechanics convince you to replace the spark plug, but it is normal and you will find on any spark plug that it's been running on an engine for a short period of time. Spark plugs have very high voltage applied to them in order to create spark at the electrode gap. And there are certain conditions this high voltage create a phenomenon called corona discharge, which occurs over the isolator above the metal shell. It's formed due to the ionization of the gases around the plug. The oil particles are attached by this discharge, adhere to the isolator, cause discoloration. The spark plugs should not be replaced for this reason. Compression leaking causes on low quality spark plugs most of the time that leaks compression between the metal hex and the isolator. Sometimes it happens to good quality spark plugs as well if the engine was running rich due to bad fuel injector or leaking fuel injector. So I had to clean these used spark plugs even though they are worn out, but I'm gonna use them as a test till my new spark plugs coming. The solution I used for cleaning spark plugs is a heavy duty engine cleaner and left it in them for 5 minutes only. For testing, I'm gonna use spark plug tester to see if there is any difference between them. As we can see, they are similar. Even at low RPM, it's not leaking spark. If you don't know what is spark leaking, here is how it looks. But on the engine, compression leaking spark plugs leaks compression that messes up fuel and air ratio. But the corona stain spark plugs will work fine and you don't even need to replace them. So after replacing compression leaking spark plugs, the engine starts right away. It's much better now, but it is a worn spark plug and it will be on the engine for a few days till my new spark plugs arrives. Hope you understand compression leaking and corona stained spark plugs, so next time you will know if you need to replace them or not if your mechanics show you this. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I will mention my 5 top things to check for winter on your car so you don't face any problem. Number 1. Using windshield fluid instead of water. It contains alcohol so it won't freeze in cold weather. I have a video where I showed how to make your own windshield fluid at home. I will put the video in the video description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. And if your windshield wiper missing rubber tip like mine here, you need to replace them with the new ones because you're gonna be using them a lot in the winter. Number 2. Engine oil. For some cars you need to change the oil thickness grade to thinner oil, but for this 2017 Toyota Camry it uses 0W20 and the range of it from -30 or lower to 40 or higher degrees Celsius. It's a big range, so you don't need to change it. But if your car uses 10W30 and you're expecting have lower than -20 where you're living, then you need to change it. So always check your owner's manual to know your car's oil working range. Number 3. Filling radiator coolant with antifreeze. Not only it will keep the engine safe, but it won't freeze in cold weather and prevent blowing on radiator rubber hoses. I recently did a complete flush and used 50-50 premixed antifreeze and it won't freeze till -30. Number 4. Checking tire pressure. Did you know that for every 1 degree Celsius, tire pressure drops by approximately 0.2 psi, and for every 10 degrees Fahrenheit, tire pressure drops by 2%. Your car's tire pressure table located on the door jamb or behind the fuel door. I also had to change the tires on both cars to mud and snow tires. Now they are new and have deeper grooves. Number 5. Checking your car's battery. First way, you can check it with the side indicator, or what I prefer, with using multimeter. Put the multimeter on 20 volt DC and check it. It should be more than 12 volts. If it's lower, it means that the battery not holding charge, you need to replace it. Because in cold weather, batteries will get worse with holding charge. And when you start the engine, it should read more than 13 volts, meaning it's charging the battery. If it's lower than 13 volts, you have a problem with the alternator. So that was my 5 top things to check for winter. What do you think to be checked for winter? Let us know in the comment section below. As always, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be experimenting how to clean radiator coolant without draining and flushing the entire system. So I'm gonna be using one of these fuel filter and connect it on a return line of the radiator reservoir for a few days. If you guys remember on my previous video, I used radiator cleaner and flushed the system many times till the water got clear and filled the system with new antifreeze. Because this car been in an accident and they fill the radiator with tap water, I had to clean so much rust, but some of the rust still lived there. So after a few days of flushing and filling the system with new coolant, the coolant changed color to dark red. So my idea is, with using filter like this, the coolant will enter here, fills the cup and then goes through the filter, separating rust or any small particles, and then goes back to radiator reservoir. So these fuel filters used on low pressure fuel line on a carbureted engines. So we're gonna need a filter like this, 2 hose clamps and a piece of hose that fits on your radiator reservoir return line. So we're gonna be connecting radiator return line here and this hose back to radiator reservoir. I'm gonna mark the arrow so it's easy for you guys to know the direction how I will install it on the coolant line. Coolant enters here, fills the cup, goes through the filter and goes back to radiator reservoir. So the first thing we can do, make sure the engine cold to touch before opening radiator cap. The reason I will open the radiator cap first, to release any pressure, otherwise it will push some coolant out when I remove the return line hose. Take a note, every car's coolant system doesn't have this circulating line. For example, Toyota Camry has only one hose, it's for coolant expansion. When the coolant heats up, it will expand and it will push some coolant back to the reservoir to balance the pressure before blowing any hoses. And when there is vacuum in a system, it will pull some coolant back to the system. So the coolant not circulating in this kind of system. So installing filter like this won't work on a system like this. I think the best way to connect the filter on the return line, back up the return hose a little bit. Let's cut the hose in half here. Using hose clamp is important because when the engine warms up, the cooling system will be pressurized. So it's important not to blow out any coolant. We just need to tighten this hose clamp on the outlet of the filter. Alright, next let's remove the return hose. The hose is bigger than the filter inlet, so I'm gonna insert the hose like this, so it will be a tight fit and not leaking coolant. Alright, the last thing, we're gonna put the other end of the hose on the reservoir and tighten the clamp. Alright, the coolant level is correct, I'm gonna put the cap back on. After checking all the hoses, I'm gonna start the engine. Okay, I'm gonna drive the car for 2 days. Let's see if it can filter the coolant and separate some rust. Alright, it's been after 2 days of driving with the filter. Let's see if it filtered some rust, even though it's been flushed not long ago. The filter holds some rust only with 2 days. I wonder how much it will filter for a month. So I did the reverse procedure how I installed the filter for removing the filter and putting the hose back on the reservoir. So I'm gonna drain the coolant and cut the filter in half so you have a better idea how much rust being filtered only in 2 days. It's not that much if you think about it, but I used cleaner and flushed the system not long ago, and after that filtering that much is a good result in my opinion. So filtering rust like this will definitely extend water pump life and prevent having stuck closed or open thermistor valve. I have some more ideas using these filters for upcoming videos, but this one definitely working. Hope you guys enjoy the experiment. If you have any question regarding this video, let me know in the comment section below. As always, thanks for tuning in, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing timing belt without messing timing of the engine with using one of these pulley lockers, which I will show you how it can be used later, and also replacing one of the engine's main mounts without falling the engine off, plus replacing rusted and leaking water pump. My video is always short and on one topic, but since some of you wanted longer video, so I thought showing all these in today's video. So the timing belt located here. In order to remove this cover, we need to remove filter box first. So we're gonna need a ratchet and 10mm socket. Next we need to undo this 12mm bolt on this side and this 10mm bolt on this side. Use a flat screwdriver to loosen the throttle body hose and then remove the hose. There are 3 10mm bolts holding the cover we need to remove first. And here's the last one located under the belt. I had to use long 10mm socket for that. We just need to push it out and pull it up like that. So the first thing I can notice, engine mount on the side completely damaged, and the engine bracket sitting on the metal body. The rubber inside is no longer holding the engine's weight. Metal on metal contact will transfer engine's vibration inside the cabin. Before unbolting any engine mount, you need to slightly jack up the engine with using piece of wood so you don't damage any part. It will separate the weight on engine's oil pan rather than pushing only on one point, bend or crack the oil pan. So we slightly jack up the engine just to take the weight over the mount. Now the engine's weight over the jack, we don't have to worry about falling off the engine when removing all the bolts. First thing, we're gonna remove the bracket that connects the engine to the mount and then the actual mount. Even if you're not replacing engine mount, you still have to remove engine mount on this particular car for replacing timing belt and water pump. Next, we're gonna loosen the water pump belt from this tensioner. It's hard to do from above, even not reachable from wheel well, so I'm gonna slightly lower the engine. You just have to turn it clockwise and remove the belt. This belt connects crankshaft pulley to the power steering pump, alternator and air conditioning compressor. If this belt breaks in any moment, steering wheel will be stiff, battery not gonna be charging and no air conditioning. The belt doesn't look that bad because I have replaced it a while back, but since I removed it from the engine, I will replace this as well. Next, I'm gonna remove the lower cover so we can work on timing belt. The first thing I recommend you do before working on timing belt, rotate the engine from crankshaft pulley till these two dots line up together on the camshaft pulley. This is the camshaft pulley locker and this is the crankshaft pulley locker. You can use this tool for locking the pulleys and replacing timing belt without changing timing of the engine. In my opinion, it's a good tool to have for replacing timing belt, and you can use it for a variety of car models. And the other piece for locking crankshaft pulley. Even if your car has a space between the pulley and the engine body or the oil pan, it comes with a spacer to compensate that distance. So on this particular car, we cannot lock the camshaft pulley because the timing belt behind this pulley, so we have to remove this pulley, otherwise we can't remove the timing belt. Another by design about this Chevy Optra, loosening up timing belt is from water pump, and this car's water pump seized up with rust pretty bad, so I had to push the tensioner's pulley with a screwdriver to remove the timing belt. It is not a practical way, but since we have no choice and changing timing belt, we are good to go. As I mentioned earlier, I had to remove crankshaft pulley before removing timing belt. Another thing to pay attention to, crankshaft should be aligned with this dot as you align up camshaft pulleys. So off the camera, I had to break the water pump till I got it out. It was leaking coolant as well because of that flattened O-ring. So in order to turn this rusted oiled engine from this to this, I had to use some heavy duty degreaser for removing oil, and using Dremel to clean the rust inside the water pump hole and where the O-ring will be sitting. Alright, after so much preparation and cleaning, now we can install new water pump. We're gonna start with oiling the O-ring and where it will be sitting on the engine block. Most cars' water pump has gasket, but this one uses O-ring, So keep that in mind, not always gasket or annoying. Next, I'm gonna place the water pump in and put the bolts on, but not tighten them up. It has to be free like this, because twisting this water pump puts tension on the timing belt after putting new timing belt on the pulleys. Whenever I work on an engine and remove a part, I like to wash it and clean it before putting it back. I didn't show so much detail how I removed this cover or how I removed this camshaft sensor. I wanted to show in general how to replace timing belt without showing details only about this car, which it will be different on the other cars. So I didn't want to waste time and show you details that you don't even need it. If you notice, I also removed timing pulleys as well, because the water pump behind the plastic. In order to remove the plastic, the pulleys has to be removed, so I didn't want to waste time and show you details that you don't even need it. Next, putting the timing belt tensioner back on the engine. And now it's time for installing new timing belt. When putting camshaft timing belt on the engine, double check the pulleys dot line up together, or you can keep the pulley locking tool on the pulleys, but for me I had to remove the pulleys, so I had to remove it. After twisting water pump and tightening timing belt, it has to be something like this. If you were only replacing timing belt with the locking tool on the pulleys, now it's time to remove it. Next, I had to put the crankshaft pulley back on the engine, which you don't have to remove it on most cars, and then the plastic covers. The belt doesn't look that bad because I have replaced it a while back, but since I removed it from the engine, I will replace this as well. Next, engine mount. Here is a comparison of damaged engine mount and the new one, how it compresses down. New engine mount on and torque the bolt to the right spec. Next, because I lowered the engine for the pulley tensioner before, now we need to jack up the engine to line up the bracket holes. Now the engine's weight on the mount, now we can safely remove the jack. We are almost done putting the filter box and the filter back on the engine and bolting everything back. Because I removed and replaced the water pump, now I have to add coolant again. A while back I did a video of how I flushed radiator coolant and adding new antifreeze. The video will be in the video description box below if you wanna check it out. We are finally done. We managed to replace engine mount, belts and the water pump. And the pulley locking tool will be handy if you are only replacing timing belt. And for those of you who were asking why my tools always clean after every work on a car, whether if it's personal maintenance or for video, I use brake cleaner and wipe every tool and then put them back. Clean and organizing tool will make the job easier. Okay, that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to clean throttle body without removing. And also, I will be cleaning fuel injectors without removing as well. But I will take them out so you guys can see in real time how the fuel injectors look like when they are clogged and how the fuel injector cleaner affects on them. So a few days ago, I was driving my car on the road and suddenly, vehicle stability control and check engine light came on after I felt misfire and shaking engine for a few seconds. So after I got back home, I had to use my OBD scanner to know what causes that problem. Because when vehicle stability control comes on with the check engine light, it means there is some serious problem that makes the engine reduce power. So after connecting CG Solid OBD scanner, it will power up the scanner. Now we can put the key on ignition position. Next, we're gonna press the OBD icon. It's gonna take some time to scan, and the red light comes on when you have a problem with the engine. It already tells us that we have one error code. Let's find out what it is. The code is PO303, cylinder number 3 misfire. I'm expecting to have clogged fuel injector because I have replaced spark plug before not long ago, and the car not that old to have failed ignition coil. So I will be using O-Tool cleaning kit. You can use this kit for cleaning fuel injectors, throttle body, intake valves and many more. And I will show you how to do the same procedure without using this kit as well. Because using this kit needs compressed air, so not everybody has a compressor at home. Here you can fill the canister with cleaner, whether if it's fuel injector cleaner or intake cleaner. Compressed air connected here, and you can adjust the pressure with this knob. If you have a garage and working on your car just like me, definitely worth buying this kit. So the first thing I will do, I'm gonna attach this nozzle to the canister hose and it will be placed after mass airflow sensor, clean the throttle body, intake valve and fuel injector tip from carbon buildup, but not inside the fuel injectors. Let's hang the canister under the hood. So for the cleaner, I will be using seafoam. It's safe for throttle body and the fuel injectors. Never use harsh cleaner for throttle body like carb cleaner or a choke cleaner. otherwise you will damage it and you have to replace it or reprogram it sometimes. So I'm gonna be using half of the seafoam for cleaning intake and throttle body, and the other half I will save it for cleaning fuel injectors. As I mentioned before, I will be attaching this nozzle so it sprays cleaner constantly to clean throttle body and the intake valves as well. Alright, connecting the shop air, I regulate the pressure on 30 psi. You can go up to 60 psi as well, but I wanna have more cleaning time. If you open the lower valve, this is how the spraying pattern looks like with the 30 psi. It will take about 5 minutes to finish the seafoam. Next, I'm gonna remove the filter box rubber boots, insert the nozzle and put it back again. Make sure to tighten back the clamp, otherwise you will have vacuum leak and get more error codes. Alright, let's start the engine. After running the engine for a while and reaching idling temperature, I'm gonna open the valve. So I'm gonna let the car idle till it finishes all the cleaner. It will loosen up all the carbon buildup on the nozzle tips. So while the engine running on cleaner, I will explain how to do the same job without using this kit. You can get a seafoam like a spraying can. It comes with a long straw. Insert the straw after mass airflow sensor and spray with the engine running. But with this kit you have more consistent spraying pattern and you don't have to keep your finger for 5 minutes till it finishes all the can. Okay, after finishing all the seafoam, I'm gonna close the lower valve, turn off the engine and remove the nozzle. And here is how the throttle body looks like compared to how it was before. Okay, next I'm gonna use this adapter for cleaning fuel injectors. There wasn't much room for showing you guys a good angle, so that's why I had to remove filter box, so it will be obvious where I connected on the fuel rod. So what I did here, removed the fuel line and connected cleaner adapter. We're gonna run the engine with the cleaner instead of fuel, and then put the filter box back on the engine. Next I'm gonna remove the shop air, depressurize the canister, and then fill it again with seafoam for cleaning fuel injectors. I just pour the other half of the seafoam and connect the shop air again. The important part of this procedure, we have to disconnect the fuel pump so it doesn't pump fuel back on the engine, because we already removed the fuel line and not willing to run the engine with the fuel. So I'm gonna disconnect the wire harness before doing this job. For most cars you can remove the fuel pump fuse, but on Toyota Camry, fuel pump fuse is responsible on fuel injector power as well. So the engine not gonna run even we are feeding fuel with the canister. Alright, fuel pump fuse back on the engine. Now I'm gonna open the lower valve and start the engine. We're gonna let the engine run with the cleaner till it finishes all the cleaner. And when the canister about to get empty, the engine will start to shake, and that's the time to turn off the engine. So here is the engine running with the check engine light still on and the fuel pump harness disconnected. So how we know the cleaner working and cleans the injectors? So I took the injectors out of the engine to see the moment when it cleans the injector. So this is just for experiment reason to show you how it will clean it when it's on the engine. So I'm gonna start the engine to power up the injectors. The car obviously not gonna run, but you will be able to see how the faulty injector working and how it gets better after the cleaner comes out and dissolve the carbon. So I'm gonna let the engine run with the cleaner till it finishes all the seafoam. You can do the same procedure without even using this kit. You can make a DIY adapter and connect the adapter on a carb cleaner and run the engine with it. I have a detailed video about that. I will put the video in the description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. The last thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna zero out one of the trips and drive the car. Let's see after how many kilometers it will turn off the engine light without using OBD scanner and erase the code. Alright, it's been after 56 kilometers. Engine light and vehicle stability control turned off without using OBD scanner and erasing the code. If you really fix the problem, check engine light will turn off after driving for a while. Keep in mind you don't have to remove the fuel injectors. I did that just to show you how it was before and how it cleaned it. Alright, that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I will show you different ways of changing engine oil on your car. Regular way, which is from drain bolt, or using oil pump extractor without going under the car. So which one better? We'll find that out in today's video. So both of these has their own pros and cons. The oil extractor I'm using is a 12-volt oil pump. This launch straw is the suction side and this is the discharge side. I will put the discharge side in a container. I'll measure how much oil will come out, and then I'm gonna open the drain bolt and see if there's any oil left in an oil pan or it's completely extracted with the oil pump. So for that I made a DIY funnel. The drained oil will be pushed to the container after I made a first mark on the container. That way we will have accurate measurement. So the oil extractor pump I'm using is a simple 12 volt oil pump. Comes with all the hoses and terminals. It can be run on car's 12 volt battery and it has a decent suction. But in the shops they use oil extractor machines which requires connecting compressed air to create that vacuum suction. Alright, let's pull the dipstick out and open the oil cap to allow the air to enter while extracting oil. Next I'm gonna place the oil pump here and insert the suction straw in the dipstick hole until I can feel it touching the oil pan. The waste oil will be discharged in this container and I will mark how much it will come out with the oil extractor. We know that 2017 Toyota Camry's engine oil capacity is 4.6 squirts with the filter, which is 4.35 liter. Let's see how much it will come out with the oil extractor. I had to twist the straw to take out as much as possible and then turn it off. Let's mark how much came out. It's about 3.75 liters. Next I'm gonna pull the straw and insert it on my DIY funnel. Let's see if there's any oil left when we remove the drain bolt. And keep in mind the oil pump working again to suction any oil from the funnel. Looks like some oil still left in the oil pan, even though I twisted the straw to reach the other corners of the oil pan, but didn't work that well. Okay, drain bolt back on after the oil stops. Tighten the bolt back and then clean the area as I always do. Okay, here is how much came out with the oil pump extractor, and here is how much came out from the drain bolt. It's about 200 milliliters. If you're wondering, Toyota Camry's engine oil capacity is 4.6 squirts, which is 4.35 liter. Why only 4 came out? Well, the rest still in the oil filter. So should you use oil pump extractor for engine oil change? Well, it will be fast, clean, but some oil still will be left in the oil pan. You will never have complete oil drain. If this car's engine oil being changed by a car dealer with oil extractor, he will have to put less new oil because some old oil still left in the engine. So you will pay the same amount for less engine oil quantity. After every oil change, I like to clean the oil catch can, which I recently installed on my car. It stops oil vapor from burning and building carbon buildup on the piston head and intake valves. I have a detailed video how I installed on my car step by step. The video link will be in the video description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. So which one you prefer, extracting oil or draining the oil from drain pan? Let us know in the comment section below which one you prefer. So that's for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be making 3D printed fuel injector holders so we can test 3 different fuel injectors for the same car, of course, and see which one sprays more and how will be the spraying pattern before and after 100,000 kilometers of driving. So the first thing we're gonna need 3D printing some kind of cover that can be inserted on a transparent tube like this to hold the fuel injector and the fuel rod all together. Some of you asked me about my 3D printing process, so here's I'm gonna explain the steps. So for designing any part, I use SketchUp software for modeling my 3D printed object. And then I'm gonna bring it to slicing software. Here you can slice the file. In another meaning, you tell the 3D printer how thick you want the walls to be and setting all the temperatures depending on the material that you're using on the 3D printing right now. Next, we're gonna put the G-code file in the SD card and insert it on the 3D printer and then choose the file on the screen. It will take a while to heat up the printer and then start 3D printing. This printer from Creality Ender 3. The build volume on this is 220 by 220 by 250 mm. And here I have CR10 Max from Creality as well. The build volume on this 450 by 450 by 470 mm. This printer capable to print building like this in 14 days. I also have a resin 3D printer as well, which I showed in my previous video how I custom designed paddle shifter for my Toyota Camry. So each one of these took 2 hours and 14 minutes for printing. Next I had to use Silhouette Cameo 4 color machine for the stickers, so it will be easy for reading which fuel injectors injects more. Alright, everything's ready, now we can assemble it all. By the way, you don't need all these machines like I have here. I'm just doing that to show you how the fuel injector will be before and after 100,000 kilometers, so we can clean it or replace it with the new ones. Here I have 3 different fuel injectors, all wired up in parallel with a push switch and 12 volt battery. I'm gonna be using Seafoam and Phillips C100 kit canister. It will be like a fuel tank here. And then I will connect the shop air here and pressurize the system. It will work like a fuel pump here. Alright, let's open the lower canister valve and power the injectors to bleed the fuel rail and the injectors, so we will have accurate reading measuring injectors fuel consumption. Alright, the system air free. Now we're gonna put it on a 3D printed stand so we can measure the fuel consumption. So the canister is pressurized. It will push the seafoam to the fuel rail, and then we can see which one feels more and which one feels less. And from this side I will push the switch to power up the fuel injectors. I will stop when I see a big difference in fuel consumption. All 3 fuel injectors being cleaned before testing and air free as I showed in the beginning of the test. So we have a big difference in fuel consumption. Maybe you'll say this one is clogged. This fuel injector is few months old and it's the original part, which has less fuel consumption. This one is original part as well, but it's been on the engine for 100,000 plus kilometers. So over time it will make the engine consume more fuel than it was before. This one is a new fuel injector but aftermarket and copy of the original part, and it has the same part number. Turned out it has more fuel consumption than the 100,000 kilometer one and the new one. Let's take the fuel injectors out so we have a better idea how the spraying pattern looks like from the new original one, used one, and the aftermarket one. The two original one looks to be the same, but the aftermarket spraying pattern much bigger than the other two. So what is the conclusion of this video? You can clean fuel injectors, but it has to be till 100,000 kilometers. After 100,000 kilometers, don't clean them, replace them with the new original ones only. If you buy cheap aftermarket ones, your car will consume more fuel than it was before. Hope you guys have a good idea on fuel consumption on the new original fuel injectors and the aftermarket cheap injectors, how much it was spraying more fuel. So that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I'm gonna be installing one of these inline filter on power steering return line fluid and see if it can filter anything. Since I used this filter on radiator reservoir return line in the previous video and worked really good for filtering small particles only for 2 days. The video will be in the video description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. So I got some requests in the previous video to do the same test on power steering fluid as well, and here's what we're gonna do in today's video. So if you look at the power steering reservoir, the smaller hose will be the return line to the reservoir, and here's where we're gonna install the filter. I'm pretty sure if we install it on the discharge line, it will put some resistance on the fluid, and we don't want to cause lack of fluid to the power steering and the steering rack. But keep that in mind, power steering reservoir contains filter as well, but let's see if it can catch anything, since some of you requested to see that. I'm gonna be using these small hoses first and then the bigger ones, because the inlet and the outlet ports are a bit smaller. I will also be using hose clamps as well to prevent from popping out the hoses. To make my job easier and cleaner, I will be using this pump and suction reservoir fluid, so when I remove the return line for installing the filter, I won't have a big amount of oil drip. To give you an idea how the fluid looks right now, it's not that long ago since I flushed the system, so it's clean. If you wanna see a complete video of flushing power steering, I have a step-by-step video showing all the steps. Alright, let's use the suction pump and take out all the fluid from the reservoir. Connecting battery terminals, try to take out as much as possible. You can use turkey baster as well, but pump is much faster. Alright, the reservoir is empty now. We can reuse the fluid again after installing the filter. The inline filter is inlet from this side. The fluid enters here, fills up the cup and goes through the filter and comes out from this side. It also has an arrow. I'm gonna mark it so it's visible for you guys how I'm gonna install it before the reservoir. Next, I had to insert the small hoses and then the big hoses and clamp them really good. And now our filter is ready. Okay, I'm gonna place the shop towel here to catch any oil drip. Next, I will be using hose clamps from the factory hose for the new filter hose ends. Alright, let's install the filter. Just make sure the arrow on the filter towards the reservoir. Now we can pour the fluid back in the reservoir, and I even added some more fluid to compensate the filter cup size. Alright, everything is ready. I double checked the hoses and the clamps. Now I'm gonna start the engine. I'm gonna let the engine run for 10 minutes only. Power steering system is a closed loop. I don't think it will be necessary, plus it has a filter in the reservoir as well. And if you open the cap, we can see it circulating and the flow looks good. Alright, it's been after 10 minutes. I'm gonna do the same procedure, take out the reservoir fluid and remove the filter, and then reconnect the factory hose. Alright, everything is connected again and wipe it off clean. Next, pouring the fluid back in the reservoir, and we need some more fluid, because some of the fluid left in the filter and suction pump hoses. Alright, moment of truth. Let's cut the filter in half and see if it can catch anything. I can see some small particles, but it is not that much. You can see some tiny dots on the filter being filtered out only in 10 minutes, even though the fluid been flushed not long ago. I'm really happy for requesting me doing this video, and it's working. But these filters can't be left on the car for a long period of time like I do in these tests. It was only for 10 minutes. If you have any video request ideas regarding this video or others, feel free to type in the comment section below. Alright, that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing transmission fluid on this 2019 4-cylinder Toyota Camry. These newer models of Toyota Camry not coming with transmission dipstick, so you cannot check the level only if you change the fluid. So in this video I will show you where to drain the old fluid and where to fill the new fluid, and how to make sure that you didn't overfill the new fluid. So for the fluid type, we're gonna need Toyota's WS fluid type. If you will be using another brand's WS type, make sure it mentions for Japanese cars. So for doing this job, we're gonna need 3.5 liters of this 4-liter can. Approximately 2.5 liters will come out from the drain pan. We're gonna fill it with 3.5 liters of new fluid and flush the rest, which it will determine the right level in the transmission pan, which I will show you in a minute. We also gonna need gloves, 1 meter of hose, and a funnel like this. You can use a DC pump like this as well, which makes the job much easier and much faster for filling new fluid. But I'm gonna stay with the funnel to lower the cost for you guys. You should know, filling plug located behind the driver's side wheel. You can just turn the wheel to the left and do the work, but I'm gonna remove the wheel and show you how it looks with better angles. So I'm gonna lock the rear wheels, loosen the lug nuts while the wheel on the ground, and then jack up the car and put it on a jack stand and remove the wheel. You don't need to have all these tools, I'm just doing that to show you better angles with the camera. So with the wheel being removed and placed under the car for extra safety, here's where the filling plug located. We also gonna need a ratchet and 10mm socket. There is also a plastic tab missing, so don't forget to remove that as well, and the cover comes off just like this. And here's the filling plug, which labeled as WS, and it's 24mm size. Alright, let's go under the car and locate the drain plug. Here is the drain plug and it's 10mm hex. Drain pan is ready. Let's take the 10mm hex and remove the plug. Keep that in mind, only with removing drain bolt, all the fluid from the drain pan won't drain. There is a plastic straw inside it that determines the right level after filling up the new fluid, so we have to remove that as well. So we're gonna need a 6mm hex, and you can remove it by hand. With the straw being removed, now we can let it drain for a few minutes. Alright, the pan is empty. Let's put the straw back and make sure to only hand tighten it. You don't have to over tighten it. A quick wipe and then putting the drain bolt back on. And I only hand tighten it as well, because after filling we have to drain the overflow fluid with a warm and running engine. Next we're gonna need a 24mm socket to remove the filling bolt. And here is also labeled WS fluid type only. Alright, let's open the can, and I also attached the hose and the funnel as well. Let's put 3.5 liters of new fluid in the transmission. If you're working alone like me, clamp the funnel like this so the fluid won't spill on the car accidentally. And I also placed a shop towel under the funnel in case of any oil drip. Take a half liter before pouring the fluid, so you know that only 3.5 liters in the can. Okay, I just put 3.5 liters of new fluid. Let's remove the hose and put the filling bolt back and then tighten it again. A quick cleaning so it doesn't accumulate dust. Now we can put the cover back on, and I also adding the missing plastic tab as well. Alright, now we can put the wheel back on the car. Jack up the car, remove the jack stands and lower the car. Now we can torque the lug nuts to the factory spec. Now you can start the engine and let it warm up. You can shift the gears as well. It should be soft shifting. Let's not forget the oil in the transmission not at the right level, but it's a bit more than the right level. So take the car out for a test drive just to warm up the gears, but avoid aggressive acceleration. Alright, we are back. the transmission is warmed up and the car at the flat level. Now we can open the drain plug and drain the overflow oil, and it will be at the factory level. Keep that in mind, only overflow oil will be drained because of the plastic straw. Draining is done. Now we're gonna put the drain bolt back on and tighten it back. Cleaning drain bolt is important in case of leaking oil. And now we are done with changing transmission oil. You must have softer gear shifting after oil change. You should do this oil change every 30,000 to 50,000 miles. And here's how to replace transmission fluid on 2019 Toyota Camry without using pump or any expensive tool. That's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I'm gonna show you some of my tools that I've been getting questions about. Most of them will be useful to have if you're working on a car, but some of them will need a space, so you need to have a garage like this toolbox here, or this cleaning canister, which requires to have a compressor. And some of them doesn't require space, like this OBD scanner here, which I will get to all of that in a minute. So the first tool I'm getting the most questions about is this O'Toole C100 kit canister. I've used it a lot on my videos for cleaning throttle body, intake valves, and running the car with it for cleaning fuel injectors, while the pump being disconnected, but you need to have a compressor to pressurize the system and push the cleaner into the engine. The tool comes with all the fittings for Japanese, European, and American cars. Next tool is this fuel injector tester. It's very useful to have for cleaning fuel injectors, which allows you to open the fuel injectors in 4 different modes, which I showed in one of my videos how I use this fuel injector adapter for cleaning as well. This will prevent fuel injectors to overheat rather than giving them a continuous 12 volt while cleaning them. Next item which I think is useful is this small ultrasonic cleaner. I could use it for cleaning my old leaking fuel injectors. When I had GMC Acadia back in 2014, dealer replaced all the fuel injectors, but now I can clean it and works perfectly fine. The ultrasonic wave will break any stuck particles that makes the fuel injector to leak fuel. Next item is this endoscope camera. I always use it in my videos for checking how much carbon buildup I have on the pistons when I use different kind of cleaner and after installing oil catch can. Having multimeter is useful for checking if you have a power cut in any wire, or checking car's battery life, especially when the weather gets cold, and checking alternator charging or not. It should be more than 12 volt when the engine running. One of the most useful tools to have is the OBD scanner. Even if you're not working on your car, you can check your car and know what's wrong with it, so you get an idea what you need to maintenance when you're going to mechanic before they make you a fancy story. If you're looking for a spark plug tester, with this tester you can test them in any RPM like it's on the engine. Most of the time spark plugs leaking in low RPM. I just purchased this brake fluid bleeder. You can bleed fluid from each wheel without letting air into the system and making a mess splash brake fluid on the paint. Video about using this kit coming soon. My toolbox is not the best quality. I haven't break any ratchet so far, so for the price it's very good, but it has everything I need when I work on a car, everything organized, which makes the job much easier. Another important tool to have, pair of plastic remover. It helps prevent breaking tabs and easy removing. These next tools I will share with you need space, so if you have a garage, you definitely need a jack like this. With dual pistons, it lifts car so easy. With a jack like this, you also need jack stand for safe working. As I mentioned before, I use air compressor when I use cleaning canister and some other tools with it, like impact gun, filling tires, or drying after washing the engine. I'll make sure to provide the links in the video description box below and the videos I used them. The tools in the video description box below are affiliate links. By purchasing any of those, I will get a percentage of that. You are helping the channel making more videos like this. So that's for this video. Hope the video was helpful. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, I will show you how to clean intake valves from this heavy carbon buildup to this without using any expensive tool or using sandblaster, which it will cost a lot if a certified professional do that for you. So here are the tools and the cleaners I will be using. I will be using WD-40 as a penetrating fluid to loosen up the carbon buildup, and then I will be using carb cleaner to dissolve the carbon. Along with that, I will be using different size brushes to agitate the cleaner, and for safety caution, I will be working with gloves and eye protection. Using shaft towel will be necessary to catch the carbon buildup while we clean the intake valves and not letting fly everywhere in the engine bay. So for today's intake valve cleaning, I had to remove intake manifold and didn't bother filming because for every car it will be different. I also have a video where I cleaned intake valves without removing for the same car. I will make sure to put the video link in the description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. Before doing any intake valve cleaning, take a note. These 3 cylinders intake valves are in closed position and this one in open position. So we're not gonna use any cleaner on this one. Otherwise all the carbon will enter the cylinder and it will wash out all the oil from cylinder wall and it will cause scratching the cylinder and smoke in the future. After cleaning these 3 intake valves, we're gonna turn the engine and we're gonna work on this one. Alright, let's start with WD-40. Because WD-40 works as a penetrating fluid, I will spray some on enclosed valve cylinders and leave it for a while to loosen up the dirt. Alright, it's been after 5 minutes. I'm gonna wear my eye protection and use carb cleaner along with using different size brushes. Carb cleaner instantly dissolves carbon buildup, but when the carbon buildup is old, it needs a little help with the brush. So I'm using detailing brush. It will take some time, but I'll be sure that I won't scratch any valve or damage any valve seal. So avoid using wire brush and take your time with detailing brush. So after brushing for a few minutes, I hit it again with carb cleaner and look how much carbon buildup came out. Next, I had to use compressed air to try it out and show you what is the first cleaning stage looks like comparing to how it was before. It looks way better than before, so I wanted to try something else and use different kind of cleaners. Since the intake manifold already been removed, I'm gonna try engine degreaser and agitate it with different kind of brush and show you how it looks like after this. So each cylinder valves I cleaned it twice with engine degreaser. And here's how it looks like after cleaning. So let's see how it was before cleaning. Here's how it looks like after cleaning with carb cleaner and brushes. And here's how it looks like after cleaning twice with engine degreaser. I did some tests of the camera and I could attach the brush on a drill and clean it much faster. If you have a room, use a drill and avoid using wire brush. On some cars you don't have room to work with a drill because the engine close to the firewall. So you're gonna have to take your time and clean it with a brush, just like I did before. After cleaning all the intake valves, I taped 4 holes of the intake so I can wash this part of the engine. Since the intake manifold already been removed, I thought it's a good idea to clean this leaking oil from the old engine cover gasket, which I replaced it a while back. So after cleaning and drying engine bay, I wanted to replace intake manifold gasket. They were compressed all the way down and I'm sure it was leaking air from there. So I cleaned it first and then inserted the new gaskets. And here is the new gasket and the old gasket difference. Alright, everything is cleaned up and ready to be mounted on the engine just like we removed it before. We had a late startup because I disconnected the fuel line when I removed the intake manifold. After bleeding all the air, it will inject fuel. Then it will start the engine, so you will have a late startup only once. Alright, the engine is warmed up now and the engine has no lagging. After I took the car for a test drive, I could feel the engine gain power. I won't have heavy carbon buildup again because since I installed the oil catch can, intake manifold is dry and oil free. If you haven't watched that video, I will put the video in the description box below, how I installed the oil catch can and how much oil catching and not letting burn and create carbon buildup on the intake valves and the piston head. Some of the tools I used in today's video. This compressor handle, you can spray cleaner with it or you can use it as a normal drying handle, and these brushes, links will be down below. Alright, that's it for this video. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Hello, it's AliMECH. In today's video, we're gonna be replacing cylinder head outlet metal pipe from this old rusted one to this brand new one. Because of the location and leaking coolant, I had to remove intake manifold to get access to it. By the look of the rusted metal pipe, it means so much rust still in the engine. Even though I used cleaner and flushed the system many times till the water got clear and refill it with new antifreeze. But when the engine been running with water instead of radiator coolant for a long time, cleaning will be very hard, because in this situation we need a harsh chemical for the rust and at the same time safe for gaskets and all the pipes. So if you have used any radiator coolant cleaner and you think it's good and worth trying, let me know in the comment section below. So before doing the job, make sure to get the same pipe and antifreeze depending on your car's engine coolant capacity and the type of coolant. So these pipes are pressed into the cylinder head but because of the rust it's not moving, and I have to be gentle as well because the rust made it so thin and it will break in any time. It is my first time taking a pipe from cylinder head, so I had an idea to make a hole on the pipe and wiggle it right to left till it gets loose, and then use a metal bar like this and push it out. The long handlebar and making a hole on the pipe made the job so much easier. I also cleaned the intake valves and showed in my previous video. I will put the video in the description box below and YouTube card if you wanna check it out. After cleaning all the intake valves, I taped 4 holes of the intake so I can wash this part of the engine. Since the intake manifold already been removed, I thought it's a good idea to clean this leaking oil from the old engine cover gasket, which I replaced a while back. Alright, now with everything cleaned and dry, now we're gonna work on installing new pipe. Along with the new metal pipe, I also purchased heater core hose. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the metal pipe in the freezer to shrink it down a bit so it's easier to put it in the cylinder head. With a little bit of WD-40, now I'm gonna hammer it gently with a piece of wood till it stops. Alright, it's the same length in the cylinder head just like the factory one. Now I'm gonna put the new heater core hose back on the engine. With the new heater core hose being installed, now I'm gonna put the hose clamp back with the needle pliers. Alright, we are done here. Next, I wanted to replace intake manifold gasket. They were compressed all the way down and I'm sure it was leaking air from there. So I cleaned it first and then inserted the new gaskets. And here is the new gasket and the old gasket difference. Alright, everything is cleaned up and ready to be mounted on the engine just like we removed it before. With every radiator hose being connected now I'm gonna fill the radiator reservoir with new antifreeze. With the radiator cap is open, now I'm gonna start the engine and let the bubbles out as the engine gets to operating temperature. And fill the reservoir up with antifreeze till it stays on the full level on the reservoir. And here is how to take out old rusted cylinder head pipe and replace it with a new one without using any special tool. Alright, that was the last video of 2022. Happy New Year to everyone. Hope the video was helpful and learned something new. If it was, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in 2023.